Hey everybody, it's Sunday night, so it's time for another episode of the Bullpen, number 99. Next week will be the big 100.
I think your scene got a little jumbled.
Yeah, it went to the... There.
There we go.
Much better.
Much
Yay.
better.
Yay.
It auto-switched to the wrong one.
Yay,
yeah.
The scene works now. Yay.
Next week, big episode 100. We got to figure out if we're doing anything.
Well, I mean, I had seen reports earlier today we were going to have an Iranian peace deal, and then, Netanyahu said, fuck that.
Yeah, breaking news. Trump is going to be really pissed on Truth Social in just a few minutes because, Israel decided to launch some more missiles over into Iran.
Peace
After
deal,
he
schmeesh
specifically
deal.
said, no, don't do it.
Allegedly, he spoke to Netanyahu earlier when Iran launched a couple missiles towards him and said, don't retaliate. And then further, and this is in quotes too, told them that they're going to have to accept any deal the U.S. makes with Iran because he, quote, calls the shots.
Yeah.
I think Netanyahu, I'm going to be honest that for a large segment of the internet, they may be pretty happy if this breaks Netanyahu and Trump up. Massey will have a, mass on for more than 4 hours and have to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Is that a priapism joke?
Yes, I'm making a joke that he would have an erect penis.
I know. It's being silly. It's very rarely do I get
who we could ask about that is
into a sentence.
Allegedly we could ask Lauren Boebert about that because that came up this week.
Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of weird.
Was she down in the Costa Rica zone having a vacation with him?
Nope. She was not one spotted down there with MTG and Massey.
I'll be honest.
But it is funny that they both just immediately ran to Costa Rica to get away.
It's like, I don't know. So, so I guess we started talking about that. Yeah. So what do we have tweets or do you want me to pull some for what's going on?
I haven't seen anything come out yet. I know Fox News has reported on it. I can probably pull a video from them, but it's basically just saying, they went ahead and decided to lob some bombs. So I haven't seen anything from Trump yet. Let me download this video and we'll play it.
Let's see. All right. Yeah, because I think Trump is clearly aiming for just resolving this. I mean, there was the question this week about sending Delta in to actually recover the enriched uranium, and that was apparently on the table, and he decided not to do that.
Still could.
I mean, apparently, I think...
that was the ultimate goal of this.
We know what Netanyahu's preferred end game is, apparently.
Right. Let's see, where's the audio going to play? It's going to play on this tab. All right, so here's Fox News reporting.
Missiles toward Israel right now. Trey Yingst is on the breaking developments. He is in Tel Aviv. Trey.
Yeah, John, good afternoon. Iran has launched at least 4 waves of missiles at Israel in response to those IDF strikes against the Lebanese capital of Beirut earlier today. I just got off the phone with President Trump, who is following the developing situation across the region. He told me what I would suggest to Iran. You've shot your missiles. That's enough. Get back to the table and make a deal. The president once again calling for a negotiated settlement. He also spoke about the ongoing negotiations with Iran, saying we are very close. I would say an agreement would be signed on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of this coming week. And now this takes place. And so the president will get briefed on what is happening right now, this ongoing Iranian ballistic missile attack against Israel. But I asked him about those initial IDF strikes that took place earlier today. He told me they were not coordinated with the United States, and I asked him for reaction to the Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Beirut, and President Trump said, I'm not happy about it. Now, more broadly, he said that the ongoing Iranian missile fire toward Israel at this moment certainly is not going to help the negotiations. But again, he is calling on the Iranians to stop firing these missiles and get back to the negotiating table to ultimately reach a settlement. The president talked about the power of the U.S. military.
So yeah, that was what, yesterday? Last night, I think.
Yeah. So, and then I've got some footage that is being shared. Here we go. From open source intel over on X. Oh, we're both clicking at the same time.
Yeah.
This is this is in whatever international airport in Tehran. So Mahrabad, yeah. So they're apparently launching several areas of airstrikes. I mean, hitting the international airport, I guess, is technically possibly military target. Generally, those are.
And for the record, not a single missile actually landed in Israel. They intercepted all of them.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I'm sure Trump was pushing for restraint, because if they're just there's this, we've talked about other cultures having a strong
trying to save face,
sense of saving face, and lobbing some missiles. By the way, I believe Iran actually sent out notices, like, just like the Israelis do, like, hey, evacuate the areas. We're going to be shooting missiles. I feel like this might have been ahead of a peace deal, the face saving, like, look, we shot missiles at the Jews, and
we're all done now.
And unfortunately, the face saving part is now gone, since the international airport in Tehran is smoking. I don't know. I mean, again, this is a prime example of, while I am perfectly comfortable saying that Israel is a strong ally of the United States, that does not mean we are always aligned perfectly in what we want to do versus what they want to do. For Netanyahu, he views this as a genuine existential threat, and or a really big thing he can do to keep himself in political power. Two things can be true at the same time. He could view Iran as an existential threat to the Jewish state of Israel. He could also see it as the number one way to maintain his power base within Israel, so he doesn't get removed as prime minister.
And I'm fine with them attacking Beirut. I
So,
don't think they should be lobbing missiles at Iran while we're trying to have those talks.
Yes, yeah.
But Beirut is it's a proxy for Iran. So yeah, they're lobbing missiles into Israel nonstop. I have no problem with Israel blasting them.
Correct. And I think in the end, I mean,
maybe keep the ceasefire on the Iran side, though.
It has been leaked so many times that Rubio, Trump, all the people negotiating are making a point of emphasis that the uranium needs to be turned over or destroyed by an independent third party with verification, meaning the U.S. watches it getting done. And you can't just fake having 75 pounds, kilograms, whatever it is, of enriched uranium, and like, they'll test it to make sure that's what it is before they make it inert. Point being, Trump had put his bona fides on there that he wasn't, if he just wanted to be out of it and accept any kind of deal, he could have been out of it weeks ago.
Right, but the point was Iran can never have a nuke,
which is what they're holding firm on.
Line the whole time.
And so I think you have to trust the fact that Trump's not going to make a deal where that's not going to be part of it, and Israel's not willing to. It seems like they don't want to make any kind of deal. They view this as the opportunity to finally be rid of Iran and the Ayatollah. Again, this is where aligned is not not necessarily aligned perfectly in terms of goals, even though you're directionally going the same way. And so in some ways, and I'm not trying to be a kooky, type person like the masses of the world, but I do think that sometimes, and we've talked about it on the show.
Not trying to tucker it up.
No, but Israel, because they have a very different set of foreign policy goals, can be a detriment to what the United States would view as its primary goal in these kinds of things. I still think, and I think we're in agreement, Brahma, the number one goal for Trump with Iran is actually creating a geopolitical triangulation against China in terms of the energy wars. So I
think that's one of the expected outcomes. Yeah.
And the fact that Trump, and also Trump, this is a thing where boomers, the number one fear boomers have, and it's a genuine one that should, is nuclear war. They were raised on it. They were born in with nuclear power being the new great thing in the world and being threatened through their entire grade school.
Well, so was Gen X for the most part.
Well, no, but
Gen X too.
It was a little different because think of it this way. I mean, in Trump's formative years would have been the Cuban Missile Crisis. He had a 1 week period where he probably in his teenage or whatever years was genuinely fearful the world was going to go into a nuclear Armageddon. As bad as Gen X was, there was no point with Gen X where there was like a hot war going on, like where it felt like we're one stupid guy in a boat away from, starting World War III. Well, with everyone
pretty
losing.
Big boogeyman out of the Soviets throughout most of our childhood.
But it's different though. It is. I think it's different. I mean, because
the wall came down while we were in school.
Well, no, here's Gen X though. By the time we had Reagan in office, we were getting glasnost. We were making arms deals. Even before the Berlin Wall came down, we were getting the SALT and START treaties, where we were actually agreeing with Russia to limit nuclear arms and reduce our stockpiles. It was kind of, if you were looking at the parabola of fear, Gen X was in the scale down period, whereas boomers they were stuck. I think all the boomers are still stuck at the top of that parabola. So, this is why Trump, going back to, time in memoriam of doing interviews about Iran, has always said, don't let them, they can't have nukes. They can't have nukes because that's his number one thing.
Well, and specifically Iran for reasons we've talked about.
Because they'd use it.
They have a religious political ideology that they will use a bomb.
Yeah.
It's not we just want the bomb for defense. No, they want it for offense. So there's a little bit of a difference there. I know we had some other stuff kind of in connection to that. Trying to find it. The dogs are losing their minds.
They always do.
Yeah. Means the wife must have just pulled up to the house. I don't know. We'll get more as it comes out from Trump, because I'm sure it's going to hit the Twitter sphere soon, because there's no way he's going to let that go by without saying something. And I expect it to be kind of like when he was getting on the helicopter right after the ceasefire was announced, and Israel dropped like their largest load of bombs on Iran before the 12 hours could take place. And he was, they don't know what they're effing doing. So I expect it'll be along those lines. Probably a little bit more colorful language.
Was it last week that the call leaked out, like the details of the call where Trump had told Netanyahu, nobody fucking likes you. You'd be be getting arrested and charged with war crimes if it wasn't for me. And everyone was like, that's clearly hyperbolic. And then they asked Trump about it. He's like, yeah, I may have said that. It's like,
we had a nice discussion.
We had a discussion. It was along those lines. I feel like Trump is losing patience with Netanyahu because Trump's ready. Like, Trump has checked off a lot of the boxes. The only box he has left with what he wants to do on Iran is making the deal to get the enriched uranium. Because realistically, if they make the deal to get rid of the enriched uranium and and Iran would at least be set back decades because we've destroyed a lot of the infrastructure and they don't have the material
to
anymore.
Continue to produce it.
Yeah.
And I think it'll also be hilarious when we do get a hold of the uranium and find out that it's the same stuff that Hillary Clinton sold.
That she sold to Putin.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Would it shock you at all?
I mean,
no.
Maybe that was what was on Anthony Weiner's laptop that several New York City police detectives looked at and then committed suicide after seeing.
Maybe.
You ever look at that one, Comix? That's a rabbit hole to fall into.
No, actually, I have not. I have not heard about that.
Yeah, several of the officers who were responsible for examining Weiner's laptop when he was arrested, got themselves Clintoned.
Arkansas.
Yep. So interesting.
Clinton side.
So unlike the J6 ones where it was just random people like, having seizures or things later.
Oh yeah, dearest, you can absolutely trace uranium to exactly where it came from. That's why I'm putting it out there that I bet it's the stuff that Hillary Clinton sold. Because that would be fitting. The main story for tonight, I guess, where we were going to start before the breaking news with that, was, we're watching an election literally be stolen in front of our eyes. Like, there is absolutely no explanation that makes sense for how these votes are coming in. So,
I mean, are we really surprised by this?
No, and I never expected Pratt would win in the general anyway, but they are so desperate to not have Republicans on the tickets at all that they are absolutely just outright stealing the election. And YouTube can be pissed off all they want about it, but I mean, the numbers don't make any sense. Rahman, the person who is in third place, literally has gotten almost all of the dumps of ballots after election day. So you're telling me that everybody went and voted for Bass and Pratt on election day and the early voting.
And she fucking gave a concession speech crying
she
about
conceded
losing
that night. And now she's solidly in second place. She's overtaken Pratt, and all the numbers point to she's going to continue to gain. How does the third place person who got like 14% of the vote on election day suddenly jump up to in the 30 to 40% of the votes after election day?
Oh, come on, Brahma. We all know that in California, all the elections are free and fair.
Mm-hmm. Before we get too far away from it, we should probably grab this one. Hembry Jeremiah for $5 says, do we think Trump is going to bring in the Marines or the National Guard to deal with their elections in California? I don't think they're going to do anything.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, we saw him with, what's her name, Welker this morning, which we've got a clip of that because he got up and walked out on her. But yeah, I mean, he's calling out elections that have been not run in a way that makes any sense. And then he got up and walked off of her show because she tried to frame everything, from the usual leftist take. Let me see if I can find that one. Oh, and we'll play the clip from Dana Bash real quick, trying to explain to us how, no, this is completely normal for what happens in California.
Oh yeah, totally.
There's no reason to be concerned that there's anything weird going on. Everybody who tells you otherwise is a conspiracy theorist.
Oh yeah, of course, man.
Election.
Bring that in. So here's Crazy Dana.
Election day was Tuesday, and still only 56% of the votes in the governor's primary have been processed. Right now, Republican Steve Hilton and Democrats Javier Becerra, Tom Steyer are battling for the top two spots in advance of the general election. Now, if this count looks familiar to you, it's because it's nearly identical to the one we showed you at this time yesterday. For California voters or political junkies like us, it's frustrating, but I just want to be clear. It is not unusual for California.
Jeff Greenfield, we are making calls on the California races. Going to the boards now. CNN is declaring that when all is said and done, Barbara Boxer will have saved her seat in the United States Senate as a Democrat from California.
Yeah. Dana Bash is purposefully obfuscating. Number one, yes, if you commit to 100% mail-in ballots, and you allow counting of ballots received up to 7 days or 10 days post-election day, you're going to have an issue with that. But number two, it is not what is really... it is not normal for the person who is third place in everything to suddenly
all
be
of the dump
to suddenly
them.
be winning. Not necessarily getting always all of it, but even winning every single mail-in ballot dump where they drop a total in. The third place person who was third place in polling ahead of the thing, who was third place in election day voting, who was third place in mail-in ballots counted that were received by election day, suddenly every single mail-in ballot drop that comes in post-election day to be fucking winning these drops,
which is the
by
only way that it would
margins.
benefit them.
Yes.
Because it gets third place into second place.
Correct.
So Pratt gets knocked out of the general election.
Yes.
So it's unfeasible. What is going on? The fact that the third place person is the one getting all the dump is exactly where you can see that there is a whole bunch of fraud going on.
It is statistically nigh impossible for this to happen. There are court cases where, and this is how, prior to Donald Trump being in office, the standard for overturning elections and ordering a new election wasn't that they actually genuinely found voter fraud, was that it was so statistically anomalous what happened that the appearance of malfeasance was enough for them to order a new election just to preserve
like a precinct having a 99 to 1.
Yes. Exactly. And one of this, which is why in election law, what you would do when you were challenging an election, you would look for like precincts that had the same general demographics, socioeconomic conditions, etc. So if you were a congressman, you would say in 3 precincts that had the similar to the same conditions as this other one, I won 52-48, but in this one anomalous precinct, I lost 80-20. That is where it's a strong statistical indicator of voter fraud, and traditionally that's when even if they didn't have like a smoking gun of someone stuffing the ballot, they would overturn the election and order a new election because they, for the purposes of voter integrity and confidence in elections, they would just do it. What is happening in California is that they are fucking not even caring about doing it. Now what is good,
and you can
for
do it because you mail out so many ballots.
Correct.
Because they'll mail out 20 ballots to the same address because they never clear the voting rolls. So you've got 18 extra ballots just sitting out there.
I follow
accounts for anybody.
I follow accounts for Virginia politics, and there was someone who had moved from California who is now involved in a lot of Virginia politics, and he showed that he had received 4 ballots from California.
In Virginia.
They
address.
fucking sent it to his Virginia address.
Yeah. To vote in the California primaries.
Now, right now, there is a Supreme Court case that is pending specifically addressing counting ballots after Election Day. I think the Supreme Court is going to knock that down. They're going to shut that Election Day as the drop dead deadline. Now, the Supreme Court is not going to mess with early voting and all the other stuff, but they are going to lock down and say you can't have stuff received after Election Day.
All ballots must be received
by Election Day. Exactly. Which, to a certain degree, will very much help some of this stuff because you can't...
You can't sit there and wait for it to be counted and figure out, okay, which person do we need to dump a whole bunch of ballots for?
Now, the positive news out of California is it seems like they were so focused on this mayoral election that Hilton is going to move into hopefully one of the top 2 spots for the governor race.
Well, he started off election night in first. Yeah. Now he's in second, and Steyer is still gaining on him. But the numbers, with 78% in now, it would be almost impossible. Almost every vote would have to go to Steyer.
Yeah.
All of them.
And the reason this is important, it's the Lee Zeldin phenomenon you got to get with. Even if you have a governor that doesn't win, because the Republicans actually have someone making the general election in the fall, it's going to be very important for those down ballot races, specifically congressional races. The Democrats already got effed because in one congressional district,
well, let's remind everybody, Lee Zeldin in New York
was running for governor.
Correct.
And he lost.
He lost, but we ended up picking up a whole bunch of seats that
but because
typically didn't.
Well, they were borderline seats.
Right.
And because Zeldin was actually competitive, instead of him being like, a certain governor nominee, instead of a nominee like Winsome Sears, where it ends up wiping out the Virginia legislature for the Republicans because people were so unenthusiastic about voting for her. Zeldin was the opposite. They got so many people enthusiastic and who genuinely were hoping that they would get Kathy Hochul out, that she ended up winning by I think it was 6 or 7, which in New York terms is not a blowout. And that was
Hochul was an appointed.
Yes.
After what Cuomo stepped down after his crap.
By the way,
we forgot to do this, so let's take care of it.
The Bullpen thanks you for giving that. I need more.
I was going to say, Hochul is the kind of person who, if a YouTuber got a report about her genetics while they were still pregnant with her, she may not have made it.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out if any of that is real.
I'm starting to believe it's not at all. There's so much evidence that it's faked.
That's almost just as sick.
Well, why not? They're going to make money that way. The people on the other side won't want to question it.
Yep, unfortunately.
I did love how they were complaining that they got so much hate, and it's like, yeah.
That was really
what did you
really
expect?
stupid. Yeah. Why would you post that online? That's dumb.
It all looked like acting to me. And there's more stuff coming out that I'm pretty sure it's all faked. So, the rest of this video is basically just showing all the elections through the 80s and 90s where California was absolutely able to count everything, night of. And even in presidential races, it's weird. They can call things for Kamala within 5 minutes of the polls closing.
Well, how else are they going to rig the election, Brahma?
I know. So yeah, we're watching an election stolen right before our eyes, and we're all calling it out, and still nobody's going to do anything about it. We even have people on the ground there right now monitoring. Nothing. It's a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
It's a lot annoying, and I'm not even in California. But what happens in California comes to Colorado.
No, I was going to say it comes out to the rest of the world. I mean, the rest of the country.
Yeah.
The whole joke is California today, the rest of the country in 5 years. So,
well, for Colorado, we're either the test market for California ideas, or were they first adopters after California does it?
I'm sure there's other states that are like that as well, where there's a large
Oregon,
influx
Washington.
Large influx of Californians.
Probably a little bit of New Mexico too.
Yeah.
We did get some good news this week. John Bolton had to plead guilty.
Really?
Did you see that one?
No, I did not.
Yep.
Yeah. So
because
Bolton
he did
essentially ended up having to plead guilty to one count of having classified material, rather than going to court and getting absolutely destroyed on 18 counts of having classified material. And the reason he had to plead guilty is because he was dead to rights on it. He had stuff everywhere. Thousands of files.
Do you know why he also took the deal? Because they looked at him.
They won't give him jail time?
No, they looked at him and said, John, you're not the kind of guy that they're going to vote innocent on. You're a Republican. A DC jury is not going to let you off. They are going to fucking nail you like you're a J6er, because nobody likes you, John. Nobody. So take the deal.
Yeah.
And he was smart to take it, because if he had gone to a DC jury, everybody knows who John Bolton is. They know he's a full-on Bush neocon, like
absolute
kind of guy.
war hawk.
And here's the thing: the liberal people will never turn their back on taking a Republican scalp, ever. It doesn't matter if you've been saying the right things about Trump. If they get a chance to string you up, they're gonna do it.
Yep.
That's the difference, unfortunately, between Democrats wielding power and Republicans. My principles is on one side, and on the other side, it's by any means necessary. I mean, look at what they've been doing defending Graham Plattner, doing like linguistic jujitsu over here to try to justify how it's okay for all the things he's doing, and they're fine with it. It doesn't even cause any kind of any kind of moral indignation in their own brain. Nope. They're all gonna do it.
Since you bring up Plattner, I did want to bring in one video that has to do with him indirectly, and kind of goes with what you're talking about right now. This is the old Ragin' Cajun hanging out with Tapper. Tapper's asking him if a Republican had the same problems as Plattner, would you call them out?
But what would you say to a Republican who says, James, if there was a Republican combat veteran who had a Nazi tattoo, a Totenkopf tattoo, you wouldn't be so forgiving? What would you say to that?
That's true. I would say you're exactly right. If that person was a 4-time combat veteran, I'd say I'd never vote for him, or maybe it's her now. We have women in combat. But you can't. But I wouldn't vote. I think the greatest danger we face right now is from Donald Trump.
The greatest danger we face right now is Donald Trump. I'm not going to say I'm not going to vote for Plattner, but I wouldn't do it if it was a Republican. Of course you wouldn't.
Of course.
You idiot. This is when the Mark Levin comes out. You idiots! But, yeah. So the Ragin' Cajun showing exactly what Chad's talking about. The Democrats will always take their shot.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you've got a freaking Nazi that likes to jack off in porta potties. In fact, can't resist jacking off in porta potties.
Well, to be fair, Brahma, that's the way the working man does it.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's be honest here. If Adolf Hitler was a Democrat, they would vote for him.
He was a Democrat. He was a socialist.
He was a socialist.
We know that.
I know that, but no. I'm not trying to be mean, but I really hate how we don't point out every fucking time that Nazi was the National Socialist Party.
Oh no, I point that out a lot. But the whole thing is like you said, they are very much. Adolf Hitler was a right winger. But let's be honest, if he actually ran as a Democrat, they would vote for him. Despite the fact that Nazi means National Socialist Party. That's the one thing they always try and dodge. Oh no, everybody was branding socialism.
Yeah, they just used the word socialism. It wasn't actual socialism. I still find it hilarious that a guy who is a communist got a Nazi tattoo. The Nazis and the communists didn't
did not
get along that well. Slightly different than the socialists.
Maybe he was slightly confused on what symbol to tattoo and didn't realize that what he meant was the hammer and sickle.
Right. I did find the one with Trump getting up from the interview this morning, so we'll play that because we kind of got away from it, but I found the clip.
Evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked networks. Right, let's call it quits. I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press, because you know what?
Mr. President,
a country can never be great with a dishonest
press. We traveled all the way to Wisconsin. Wisconsin for this interview.
He's like, I don't care, and I'm going to step on your mic.
Oh, that was funny.
Which is why the audio cut
I
out.
spoke with President.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you get a chance to watch the full interview, it's pretty funny because she's pushing his buttons the whole time and he's just getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And then we get to the elections and, you know, Save America Act. And yeah, he was finished with her. Trump in not rare form, but one
that
of our
might
favorite
be
forms.
Trump. That might be Trump's equivalent of when Vance said, "Frankly, Mark, I don't give a damn."
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and so I love what it's doing as well, because it kind of frames it as, if you're the news and you want to actually talk to Trump, you're going to have to listen to what he says and not sit there and try to push back on every single thing he says, because then he gets pissed off and he'll just walk off. He's the president. He doesn't have to sit there and talk to you. So they've got like 3 ways they can handle it. They can push back and he'll probably walk off set and you look like an idiot because, you know, you couldn't finish an interview with the president. You can sit there and take it, and then everybody on the left is going to throw a fit that you didn't do anything to push back. Or you could slightly push back, but not push him to this edge. And it's still going to show him as coming out on top in all 3 of the scenarios. So they're kind of screwed. They can't deal with him at this point because it's pouring rain at this interview, right? You could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Every time it thunders, she's like freaked out. He just powers through the whole thing. But yeah, interesting interview. I would say go check out the full thing, but I love the stepping on the mic. That was beautiful.
That was pretty funny.
I love how the audio just goes dead too. It's not just a little broken, it's completely broken. So Chad, well, and Comix, did either of you watch any of the hearings with Rubio and Besant?
Oh, I send you the clip where I think Besant went off on the dude. Let's talk about your son with Jeffrey Epstein funding his gym.
Right.
Like, Scott Besant, I know there are some people who are hung up on the fact that he's openly gay. Whatever.
So is half the people in Trump's government.
But Scott Besant is the one, like, he is the most genuinely based. Like, so they ask him also in the hearing, I don't know if you have the clip, because the guy who's now been nominated, who has been made acting director of national intelligence because he was Senate confirmed. Last year, when he was running the mortgage division, him and Scott Besant got into an argument, and one of the guys was asking, "Did you say you were gonna shove his face into something?" And Scott Besant was like, "No, I told him I was gonna kick his ass."
I was gonna kick his ass. It was far worse than what you're saying.
It was worse than what you.
Yeah, we've got a few of these clips. I got a couple of Besant, and then I think one of Rubio. And then one of rising superstar Brandon Gill. So
let's be clear here. Nobody is interested in the ramblings of a capo in the most corrupt regime in American history. We want to get some facts about this deal. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I will ask my questions first today.
And we would like to hear what Adam Wyden and Jeffrey Epstein talked about. Your son's largest investment position was Rick's Cabaret. So did your son and Jeffrey Epstein talk about pole dancing as he begged him for money using your limited credit?
Oh, shit.
Ouch.
And then he turns to Mike.
I'm going to proceed with my questions, and Mr. Secretary.
Scott Besant is like, look, they're laughing. They're like, he just like knifed.
He just nuked him from orbit.
Oh.
And then we've got another one where he mic drops.
The American people were torched under the Biden administration.
Oh my God! I wish I had $1 for every time you or someone on the Republican side brought up Biden's name. If I did, I might have as much money as you have, Mr. Secretary.
You would have lost 22% of your purchasing power because that's what happened.
So the American people are wrong. The fact that by a 3-to-1 margin, they disapprove of this president and your performance on the economy. They're wrong.
The Democratic House has 17% approval rating.
Now, I understand.
The Democratic House has a 17% approval rating. That's lower than what the disapproval rating
people
for
forget,
Trump is.
Scott Bessent in the early 90s made his bones collapsing the fucking British pound. Like, he brought an entire country's economic currency to its knees with him. It was with George Soros, but it is what it is. This guy works, his brain is on a whole different economic level. Like, the reason, by the way, one of the reasons the Iranians were coming to the table to make the deal is because Bessent floated, you know what? You know that money we've seized, that $24 billion? We're going to start paying reparations to the countries you're bombing with it before you can get any of it. And they actually started calling up, like, Kuwait, send us the estimate for the repairs for your airport. We'll start releasing the funds right to you.
Everybody who's in the Abraham Accords.
And all of a sudden, like, Iran was like, maybe we'll make a deal now because they want them. They need that money. And, you know, it's just like, we're going to close the Strait of Hormuz, and then Trump going, you know, you're right. We'll close it even harder.
We'll close it more.
And they're like, God damn it.
It's your oil that's rotting.
Yep, so.
All right, let's let him finish.
17% approval rating.
No, I understand why you don't want to answer the question. So let me, I forgot to mention, reclaim my time. I forgot to mention, consumer sentiment is at an all-time low. So the numbers on the approval rating of this president of the economy are the lowest since the Great Recession. But in terms of consumer sentiment, which actually does measure whether or not people are optimistic about their future, the lowest in the history of a poll that dates back to 1952.
Well, let's look at the underlying data. 2/3 of those are Democrats. The Democrats...
Now, two-thirds of those polls, so Fox News, The Economist, all the polls are wrong.
You're citing the University of Michigan. And
there have been other surveys as well.
Exactly which poll he's citing.
Listen to this kind of twaddle. The vote...
Twaddle?
He just called him a twat.
Teams, whatever, Republicans, they vote
who
much
dawdles.
higher, and that's
You're a dawdling twat. A twaddle.
No, I don't think you know what you're saying. I know what I'm saying.
Citing the facts. Those are the facts that you have a problem with, Mr. Secretary. Well, let me just turn, since I only have 2 minutes left, let me just turn to this.
I'm citing data, not a poll. Speaking of data, jobs report came in.
Oh, how those jobs reports done?
Expected 86,000, actual 172,000 plus, and they also had to revise the prior month up. If you recall, under Biden, they would release like, we had 300,000 new jobs, and then they would revise it down to like, we had 12,000 new jobs months later.
Yeah.
Trump's keep getting revised up, not down.
He's lost. Yeah. No, he's had one.
He's lost a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to say the main thing is, if you look, there's a lot of indicators about, because manufacturing specifically takes lead time to spin up.
Build factories, hire people.
Well, yeah, and you need to buy the equipment. So over the last few quarters, if you dig deep into the GDP reports, there's been a lot of outlays for capital equipment, and those come in as imports a lot of times. And for people who don't know, every imports are a direct $1. For every dollar you import, it's $1 off GDP within the United States. So it doesn't matter how productive we were, anything we import reduces our GDP in terms of the way it's calculated. So even the really strong GDP months that Trump has had, they've been impacted because companies have started buying equipment and other things and importing it to the United States. So if you take the imports out, our GDP would actually be even higher. Point being, if you look at, there's a few that are leading indicators, and one of the other things is transport rates, to ship things across country with truck drivers and such.
Yep.
And those are through the roof. because there's so much volume going in. And there's two reasons. There's another reason that is also going up is because they're finally fucking getting rid of the foreign drivers. Because between the Department of Transportation crackdown on the CDLs being issued by rogue states and the Supreme Court, and this is the bigger one, the Supreme Court just issuing a 9-0 decision allowing third-party vendors to be held liable for lawsuits when they supply people specifically for truck driving, for instance.
Yeah, I think we talked about that one a little bit last week.
Yeah, but so all that together is creating a perfect storm where truckers are now making more money, which is good for the economy. People forget truck driving is one of
getting their CDLs.
Yep.
Actual Americans, because there are jobs available now.
Truck driving is one of the lowest cost of entry, highest rate of return jobs you can get.
You can make six figures.
The cost of getting a CDL is actually not very high, and if you're responsible and good at your getting to places on time, a truck driver can make six figures fairly easily especially if they'll do long haul and some other things that could do it. I mean, it's not the easiest job in the world. Definitely is not. But it was one of the easy...
It's a lot easier if you can read English and know what the signs mean.
But truck driving was one of the easiest professions for barriers of entry to cross for a working man, getting to Graham Plattner, for the average working person to get into a job that could support a family. Where you could get
oyster farming specifically for your mom's business is not qualifying him as a working man.
Yeah. Well, apparently, sir. I mean, there's even more worse about the Plattner stuff because the New York Times was hanging one of the lady who came out on the record out to dry because she was a former Republican conservative political operative. So they basically. They catch and killed. There were supposed to be 5 other women in the story,
right?
Who had corroborated with their own relationship experiences, and they caught and killed where they basically didn't report any of those other women, so that they could report just on her, and then
say
spend 7 or 8 paragraphs on her work history before they got to the fact that Graham Plattner is an absolute horrible human being.
But we will get back to those hearings with Rubio, but this also came out. I would like to take yet another victory lap on the bullpen because we have been saying this for 99 shows, because we've had 99. Maybe not on election night, but the mainstream news is finally catching up that the H-1B visa workers, specifically from India, as we have been saying, are not all that well trained or actually have college degrees. But they finally are figuring it out and reporting it when we've been saying it for forever.
I'm shocked.
Since 2015. Over 70% came from India and nearly 12% from China. And when you zoom in on this map you're looking at, you can see where most are being hired. The dark red spots show a high density of H-1B visa holders.
Look at those
and
Texas
now we're learning
reds.
more about the fraud within the program. One former official tells
By the way, can you pause?
I can tell you what cities those are. That would be San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, Houston.
So I can actually provide some firsthand experience with this fraud thing. I may or may not be at a workplace where we had someone trying to scam the recruiters, where this is, and it's so stupid because you have to verify documents when you work in contracting, like government contracting. They had one person doing the interviews to the point and having all the bona fides, and it's like the SATs. They sent someone in to do all that so they could prove that they had the actual technical knowledge to handle doing all this stuff. And then when it came to onboarding the person for the actual job, it was a different person, and they didn't think we'd catch it.
Oh, wow.
It was just like, no, like, hey, can you hold your passport up to the camera or your document up to the camera along with your face? And then they tried to hide, like, and it was like, nope. We're gonna, you know what? We have something that's come up. We'll have to get back to you in a moment. Onboarding done. You're not going anywhere. It's ridiculous. But that's but these scams are very common, like, especially.
It's more than very common. Wait till you see the numbers.
Yeah.
80 to 90% are fraudulent.
Wow, that's crazy.
80 to 90% of the people coming from India have fraudulent
We're learning
paperwork.
more about the fraud within the program. One former official tells Newsweek that up to 90% of applications, 90% from India, contain fraudulent documents or involve unqualified applicants. And finance law enforcement in India claim it has uncovered a network of universities that produce fake degrees, which were possibly...
Remember, this is exactly what we have said is happening in India. They are literally issuing fake diplomas and degrees. Fake colleges issuing fake degrees, and then they are allowed to apply over here for high-skilled jobs. When they get here, they end up working in the mailroom because they have no skills whatsoever, because it's all fake.
Used to obtain these high-skilled H-1B visas, including one school which allegedly stole over 36,000 fake degrees, sold, I should say. It cost as little as $1,400 for one of those. And while these are supposed to be high-skilled employees, during almost all of Biden's time in office, 83% got junior or entry-level positions. And now Texas is taking action, cracking down on those abusing the program.
Good.
So, good that somebody in the actual press is finally reporting stuff like this, but also we're taking our freaking victory lap because we've been saying it for forever.
But what they're still going to not report on because they're afraid to do it is pointing out, the fact that these tech companies get taken over, they get a CEO who's of Indian descent, and then the rate of hiring of Indian H-1B visa workers and the firing of American workers grows at an exponential rate. Look at Microsoft did it. Alphabet and YouTube, like Alphabet gets an Indian CEO, and the next thing you know, YouTube gets an Indian CEO. Like,
surprise.
They're going to promote it. It is a ongoing and prolific process. I think if you were looking at statistically, they'll go after, the DOJ used to, even under Democrats, when they were trying to go after the successful businesses, they would use disparate impact and disproportionate representation as the way to prove racism or other things in the workplace. If you look at the disproportionate representation of Indian CEOs of American companies, it is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane how common it is now.
Yeah, and by the way, not to rant on the world's largest democracy, quote unquote. If you want to talk about like India, like when they tell you India and Indian, look on an
We're still working on the caste system.
Yeah, on an individual basis, there could be individuals that are perfectly good and successful and genuinely could be good at their job. If you look at India as a country, what are they known for? Shithole cities that are disgusting. They don't
turning their river into absolute sewage.
Into sewage and like.
Which one is it?
Why are they not? Yeah, why can't they pass the Clean Water Act in India? Right? There is nothing in America that ever got to the point of that, and you can't blame colonization because India has been free since.
Burn.
I mean, yeah, but it didn't have all the bottles and sewage doing it. I mean, I don't know if sewage burns the same way. I mean, Cleveland's rivers burn because Standard Oil used to just pump Did you ever see like do you know the
Ganges,
story?
yeah.
The story behind why gasoline is used is Standard Oil. Their main product used to be kerosene, right? The heating, like for lamps and things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And their waste product when they processed it was gasoline.
Right.
And they used to just pour millions of barrels of it into the river.
Yeah.
Just as the waste product. And then it was fucking Rockefeller went to his guys and was like, this is stupid. Can we find something to use this for so we can at least sell it? I don't care if we have to sell it cheap. Is there anything gasoline's good for? And one of the scientists was like, well, it runs something called an internal combustion engine. Nobody uses it. He's like, you know what? Promote that at the World's Fair or some shit. Let's get people buying it. Bam, he becomes the richest guy in the world. Standard Oil was already wealthy, but he created the automobile industry to not have to dump his waste product.
The byproduct.
Because it was for him, it was such a waste of something. Find something to make it, make money off of this. But that's also why the rivers would burn, because, you dump millions and millions of barrels into the waterway, and over time, maybe stuff becomes, a little
maybe it's
flammable.
not exactly a good idea to do that. So
it's a shame Mad's not here so he could tell us about the Cleveland rivers, because he really loves to talk about that. All right, let's go back to the hearings, and this time we'll take a look at Secretary Rubio. This is Representative Ted Lieu, framing himself as an idiot, talking to Marco.
Sleeping right next to you.
No, he's not.
If Donald Trump cannot stay awake at these important meetings where the cameras are rolling, imagine what he's like when the cameras are not there. So I'm going to ask you, have you been at classified meetings where Donald Trump has fallen asleep or had trouble staying awake?
I've never been at any meeting where, and the things you're showing me now, he was not falling asleep. And
So-
I think
so
it's
you're
outrageous.
lying?
So he's got a whole bunch, how they like to bring up their little poster boards and have pictures blown up. Anytime Trump closes his eyes, they basically say he's falling asleep in a meeting.
well, yeah, it's funny because they're doing that because of the fact that Biden would actually fall asleep at things.
And crap himself.
Yeah, well, I mean, that goes without saying. But the thing is that the very things that we saw with Biden, it wasn't that we were accusing Biden. I mean, this shit you could go look up. Him shaking hands with ghosts, wandering around lost, shitting himself, literally falling asleep. I mean, they're trying to pin that. See, Trump was just as bad as Biden. He's doing the thing too. He's falling asleep, even though most things that these idiots are sharing on Twitter are fucking fake.
CNN and MS Now have both had doctors as guests who have said, "Oh yeah, he's in late stage dementia."
Oh yeah, well they wouldn't fucking do that shit for Biden.
Nope.
Consistently to Congress.
About sleep.
You're
This is
lying
a
to
joke.
Congress, Secretary Rubio. So I'm going to show you another video in a moment.
Respond to that, other than to tell you that it's absurd and ridiculous. And I can't believe we're in a Foreign Affairs Committee meeting in front of the House at an important time in American foreign policy.
Just keep lying,
answering
Secretary Rubio.
questions
Just keep
from
lying.
Supposedly someone who thinks he's a medical expert when he's not. The truth of the matter is we had a cognitively impaired president in office a few years ago. That's a cognitively impaired president. But I don't like to talk about that because it weakens America. This president we have, this is a guy that literally doesn't sleep.
I love Marco, but I am always so distracted by the size of his ears.
Yeah, they are pretty big.
Those things are gigantic.
He works day and night, long hours, every single day. I don't know if you haven't seen him in 8 days. I saw him yesterday. I didn't see him today, but yesterday because I was in Congress the day before. I talked to him at all hours of the day and night. He works inhumane hours. Okay, I've been on foreign trips with the president that he doesn't sleep in the whole flight. And everyone else is sleeping on the plane, and he's, wandering the hallways looking for someone to wake up and talk to that people are. So I don't know what you're referring to, but he has an incredible amount of energy. I'm just telling you, you may not like his policies. You may not like his policies, you may not like the decisions he's made, but I assure you, this is not a president that sleeps or is cognitively impaired in any way, shape, or form, and in fact is incredibly active, much more so in many cases than much younger people that are around him. Those are facts. I see it every day. You're not going to agree because you have another narrative that you want to push, but those are the facts.
I just showed you.
And I can see where, we all see Trump. We know that he's constantly doing things. He's tweeting until 4 a.m., then sleeping and then getting up for a meeting at like 8. But I mean, it does kind of sound like what Karine Jean-Pierre was saying about Biden. Oh yeah, he just runs circles around us. But I actually believe it about Trump.
Yeah.
Because the guy is known to not sleep more than a few hours. And every single time anybody brings up being on Air Force One, anybody who's asleep is probably in trouble because Trump is constantly trying to have everybody doing stuff when they normally would be asleep. So, but Ted Lieu's an idiot. The next one was even better though.
And just like you couldn't admit that the shoes the president bought you were too big, you clearly don't know what winning means. And not because the facts are unclear to you, it's because telling the truth would cost you your job. And the American people are entitled to a Secretary of State who tells them the truth even when the president doesn't want to hear it. And my constituents, our service members, deserve better. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I don't know what shoes she's talking about. What is she talking about?
Representative Burchett, you're recognized. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you'd like to answer any of that.
Yeah, I don't know about the
I'll
shoes.
give
I mean,
you
he
a
gave me
minute.
some Florsheim shoes. They're actually pretty good. They fit fine. I don't know what she's talking about. And maybe that's what she's referring to.
Your shoes look very nice today, Mr. Secretary.
Well, how can you see them? They're way down here. We're talking about shoes. Are you guys kidding me? I mean, is this the Foreign Affairs Committee or is this like a circus? What is this?
It's a circus.
He literally had to just keep saying that. Like, none of the Democrats could ask a serious question about anything foreign affairs. You got the Secretary of State, who also has about 70 other jobs, and you can't ask him a single question about what's going on around the world. You're literally talking about, well, Trump said he got you shoes, and we had reporting that they were the wrong size, but you just wouldn't admit that they're the wrong size. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, it's kind of retarded.
I mean, that's their gotcha, that he's just a yes man for Trump? What the hell?
I mean, it seems like that's what they're implying.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to go with, because he wore shoes that Trump got him. That makes you a yes man. Chad, did you see anything else that actually came out of those hearings? That was
No, it was a joke.
It was all a freaking joke with both of them.
There was no substance, and there's a
Rubio.
lot of substantive things to ask questions about. But the way it works with these hearings is each senator and or congressperson
get your TikTok clip
is given their entire and their time, which is usually anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, counts not just their time asking questions, but the answers that are being given by the person they're questioning. And that lends itself, and this is why I'm not a big fan of these congressional hearings to begin with, because it lends itself to these dramatic things where they try to cut off
showboating
the speaker because they want to have their 5 minutes of speaking time. So it doesn't really help.
Maxine Waters, reclaiming my time, reclaiming my time, reclaiming my time, for like 7 straight minutes.
Yeah, so as Nick Weiser saying, it's a complete theater. If we were genuinely interested in democratic oversight, which is really important, the Congress they are the keepers of the purse. They have every right to bring in the executive branch and ask them questions and demand answers. What isn't helpful is stupid questions like, I'm afraid Guam is going to sink if we have everybody in the military base on one side
Hank
of
Johnson.
it. Or other,
I have a feeling that if we bring over too many people to Guam, the island would capsize.
Yeah, and the actual like
I
believe it was an admiral or an Air Force general looking at him like, we're not really worried about that, sir. He's like, we're fine. But so I think the entire process. Now, on the other hand, the executive branch is usually not helpful in making people available for more than an hour or two at a time. So they're time limited. And what's funny is if you ever go to these hearings in person, and that's one of the things you can do when you live in the DMV, as we call it, DC, Maryland, Virginia. You can go and you can actually sit in on a congressional hearing. They don't really do much to. You just go through the metal detector, the standard kind of stuff, and you can sit in the gallery for most of these hearings. They're going on all the time. What you'll see is that entire big line of chairs will be completely empty except for the one person asking questions.
Right, because they all just leave.
And they just rotate in and out, and they don't, even the rest of that whole committee doesn't sit there for the hearing. The only time the committee generally is in the entire committee is in the room is when it's a either a very large audience thing, like maybe Rubio being there.
Oh, I wish I could find the, do you remember we showed the clip on the hearing with about Charlie Kirk's assassination, where Michael Knowles was there, and Knowles is going off on, you know, gun control and all these kinds of things, and that he's had to actually have bodyguards and everything too. And one of the senators, right after he asked a question, I think it was Booker, 99% sure it was Cory Booker, did one of his Spartacus speeches. Knowles is responding, and Booker gets up and just runs out the door. Because he had gotten his little soundbite he was happy with. He did not want to hear an answer.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They're there for their TV moment because here's their social media team will take that clip, cut it, and send it out to all the people they think matter, to then promote it. They'll send
Jennifer
it to
Welch.
They'll send it to Welsh. They'll send it to ABC News or
The View.
They'll send it to George Stephanopoulos or Kristen Welker or whoever's running CBS one now that Bari Weiss seems to be cleaning house over there.
Oh yeah, we're
By
going
the
to
way,
go into that a little bit.
Scott Pelley was
I've got
being
some
such a little
Pelly.
Scott Pelley is such a little bitch. What do you mean we're biased? Show me evidence of that. Really, Scott?
Well, I mean, since you brought it up, let's have a look at little.
Do you
Scott.
think Bari Weiss needs to be removed?
Oh gosh, yes. Look, she's a lovely person. And her free press organization that she founded has been very successful. She's proven that. Great for her. Her thing.
Can you pause it real quick?
I don't know if you guys have ever seen him when he did the commencement speech at one of the colleges. He does this all the time, where he puts one hand way up, and it's like Kamala's, her thing where she's like up here and down there. His hands always are in these weird configurations when he talks, and he's annoying as hell.
What I was going to say is, I was going to say it's really unfortunate to see a white man mansplain how Bari Weiss should be doing her job. I feel like this reporter who's interviewing him should have been an ally and not just let him get away with spouting that. I'm personally offended.
This reporter that's interviewing him is the one that just held Tucker's feet to the fire a few weeks ago.
I know, but I'm just saying, I feel like I need to go to a safe space when I see a white man not being an ally when Bari Weiss is clearly a woman of womanness doing her job and having him explain what she should be doing.
Bari Weiss is under attack.
She brings an ideology into CBS News where that is just anathema. And
wait. Hold on a second.
Yeah, CBS News has no actual partisanship. I mean, they always just call it right down.
Yeah. She brings an ideology. You mean, like,
to be fair, what Scott Pelley is let me translate. What Scott Pelley is trying to say is it's the Jews, because Bari Weiss is Jewish.
She's Jewish and gay.
So Bari Weiss is not a conservative in any way.
No, she's not.
Very liberal.
Yeah.
All she wants is actual reporting and journalism to be done.
I know. That's
all they're asking for is actual journalism. And he's like, nope. She's going to make us report things in a way that we don't want to. Because
Josh,
it's not going hard enough on behalf of the Democrats.
Josh Heyman reminded me the bullpen doesn't need an HR department. This is Masters of the Universe. Man, by the way, I really want HR Bro Skeletor in my action figure collection.
You would.
It's Comix. Did you see it yet?
What?
What?
It's good.
Did you watch the movie yet?
No, not yet.
Because so you'll agree with me that Jim Bro Skeletor and HR Skeletor will be great additions to any action figure collection. I feel personally attacked since my division is sort of involved in that part of the workplace. But I won't get into too many details.
I mean, in reality, it's true. HR should only be in charge of hiring and firing people.
Human resources
is fine. HR
does have so here's the difference. An HR department really only needs to be about 3 people.
Yeah.
If it's ever more than that, then they're trying to make problems instead of solve problems.
HR is fine as long as they're dealing with hiring, and that's
hiring
it.
And firing. Not
Hiring and
making
firing.
company protocol. Not telling people what they're allowed to say or not say.
Right.
Not sending out memos every 15 minutes of, we'd really like you to take notice that you can't be doing this.
Stop.
Just hire and fire.
Passive aggressive notes about what people should be doing with their lives.
Yeah. Let freaking management do their job
let me
of
tell
telling
you,
people to get back in line.
Well, no, let me tell you. If you're working in an HR team and you've got a small HR team, which is the way it should be, the business will create enough problems for that you have to fix without you having to find problems.
That you don't need
fix.
to artificially do it.
You know, for instance, there is a tendency for people who are managers not to ever document things and then just decide they want to fire someone. And depending on the state that the person resides in,
you need a paper trail.
That's not going to work. So, yeah.
Right.
Kind of stuff like that.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of firing, let's get back to Scott Pelley.
That it's probably not her fault, but it's just a terrible fit. She doesn't know television. She doesn't understand how it works. She doesn't have management experience for a large organization like CBS News. So, yes, I do think that we would be far better off without her. Maybe she goes back to the free press and has a sterling career. But this is like somebody walking up to me and saying, there's a 747. There are 400 people on it. We need you to fly it to Paris.
That is a bullshit fucking
I'm going to
example.
decline because I don't have a clue. And it would have been so much better if Barry Weiss had been offered this job and said, oh, that's not for me. I don't know how to do that.
She's not shilling. She's not shilling the Democrat propaganda. We need to get rid of her.
I'm
there
serious.
There was another question in that interview, though, where she's like, you've said all these things about Barry Weiss. Did you really expect to not have repercussions?
Well, no, that's what I'm like. These people on the left should be, by all accounts of their ideology, should be fucking like putting this guy's head on a spike, because in that 3-minute blurb, he 100%, in their words, mansplained, tried to tell her what to do, tried to say he basically was
said a woman is not capable.
He was straight out of Mad Men right there. Like, hey, he was one step away from smacking her on her tush and saying that was a good effort, but you're just not quite up to speed. You need to go and get me some coffee, Barry.
We used to be a proper country. The other big story this week, the trial, I believe the prosecution is already resting in the trial against Carmelo Anthony.
They rested Saturday, and the defense called their first 2 witnesses.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out well for them.
Carmelo.
Well, sometimes you just don't have this. What we've learned now in terms of actual testimony and evidence presented, and bearing in mind The prosecution has presented their full case, and we've only gotten 2 witnesses.
Remind
in.
everybody what the case is about.
So
that
Carmelo
everybody's
Anthony
on the same page as
is
us.
the young
And
teen,
I'll be right back while
is
you
the
do
17-year-old who was sitting in a in the other team's tent at a track competition and he is African American, and when one of the other team members came to ask him to leave that tent, and this is a white man, a white young 17-year-old boy who did this.
Well, we already know what the problem is right there.
Yeah, well, they had words with each other. This is all agreed on, and all the testimony supports this. And then Carmelo Anthony took out a knife from his backpack and stabbed the young white gentleman whose name is Metcalf in effectively the heart, right in the chest, and then ran off. He's never denied that he stabbed him. He's never denied that he brought the weapon with him to the track meet. The only thing they are trying to argue now is that he had a right to quote-unquote defend himself. There's various problems with that defense based on the facts as they're presented. In the state of Texas, which is generally very friendly to self-defense claims,
right,
there's a few things that can defeat your ability to win self-defense. The first is provocation. Meaning, did you provoke the fight that led to the use of deadly force? In this case, so far, including from the people that have testified, the 2 witnesses for the defense, Carmelo Anthony did go to the other team's tent, was sitting there, and by their own accounts, by the witnesses who testified, including for him, was intentionally being provocative towards Metcalf, saying, "I'm not leaving. You're going to have to move me," calling him derogatory terms like "you're a pussy, you're a bitch," touch me and see what happens. Which again in the state of Texas would be considered provocation and an invitation to physical altercation. Mm-hmm. That's if you provoke and invite the altercation, you do not then get to drape yourself in self-defense, saying that you feared for your life and had to use deadly force. So that's number 1 is provocation. That defeats self-defense if you provoked it. The second level, if as a jury, if they decide, well, he didn't provoke it, which again, based on the evidence, is a problem. But if for some reason they decide he didn't provoke the fight, the next question is it reasonable use of force? Mm-hmm. Meaning, in state of Texas, it's not a matter of you're allowed to just do it. The question is it a reasonable response to the fight or provocation, whatever word you want to use, aggression. In this case, the most physical contact that any witness has described between Carmelo Anthony and Metcalf, when Carmelo Anthony was again in their team's tent, which they are not supposed to be, was that after he said he wasn't going to leave, Metcalf maybe gave him a little shove to get him off the chair he was sitting on. And all the witnesses, including black witnesses who saw it, have said it was a very small shove, like nothing that would be even considered like that would hurt you. Well,
the one witness who was the guy that Carmelo Anthony knew from the school that was sitting right there said basically Metcalf put his hand on his back, didn't even really shove all that much, put his hand on his back, and the second he put his hand on his back, Carmelo reached into the backpack, stabbed him in the heart.
And it was a 5-inch folding knife, that is not a small, that's not a pocket, I guess it's not a traditional pocket knife. If the blade is 5 inches long, that's a big ass knife.
And on school property,
which you are not supposed to have. The coach of the team that Metcalf was on, who was also African American, talked about how our weapons kept. Yes, every kid was in the county, as part of participation in the sports extracurriculars, has to sign a code of conduct, a code of behavior agreement, which specifically informs them that weapons of any kind are prohibited on school, which, by the way, is very similar to everything that you would get even as a student. Do you guys remember when you went to school and you got your code of behavior? Code of conduct.
I'll be honest with you, I don't.
Well,
I don't remember that.
I went to a Christian high school and Christian middle school, so yes, we had a very
it
detailed
laid out specifically you can't bring weapons. There's zero tolerance if you've ever caught with anything, even if you bring it accidentally. You're getting removed from the school. And so we've now established that he knowingly brought a deadly weapon, seemingly provoked the incident to drape himself in self-defense,
so that he could use it. Most of what you said. He was asked 15 times to leave, is what the testimony said.
Yeah, which is what I was getting at, that I don't think he's going to even be able to pierce the provocation level to get to the reasonable, and then he should fail the reasonable response. He was in no threat for his life.
They kept trying to claim that he was like surrounded by 4 football player sized guys, because Austin Metcalf and his brother were football players as well.
But he was also that size, and they weren't ganging up on him. So
there has been no testimony from either side that said anything like that happened.
No, in fact, his own witnesses, like when I say
his own witnesses are burying him.
The defense witnesses are also corroborating that he was the one being provocative, that there was no attempt to gang up on him, that he seemed to be itching to, like, I think one of his witnesses was describing seeing like the clenched hand in his bag, like where he was ready to like rip that out and stab him. It's
so like he had some fantasy of, this is how I could try to do a murder and get away with it.
Yeah, so this
claim it as self-defense.
Yeah, so that's where the second level comes in, where it's reasonableness of the response. In Texas, you have to reasonably fear for your life in order to justify deadly force. This is not a situation where he was in reasonable fear, because even if you're being ganged up on, if it's just a group of people around you, that is not a reasonable fear for your life. Reasonable fear for your life would be you're surrounded by people and they have weapons and they're pointed at you. They're making threatening kind of, statements to you, like, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to murder you,
kick your ass.
Yeah, I'm going to kick your ass, and you're not going to be able to walk again after I'm done with you. None of this stuff. Nothing like that was being said. At most, from all of the witnesses, like Brahma said, it was you need to leave the tent, get out of the tent.
Did you touch on the coach testimony?
Yes.
Where you basically said, yeah, it is a standing rule. You don't really go in other teams' tents ever.
Yeah, so the coach,
to protect our property, to keep fights from happening, and because that's your area when you're at a track meet. I ran track.
So
we didn't go anywhere near anybody else.
So to contextualize this for people who play other sports, if you've ever seen, if you watch football, it would like going to the other sideline and sitting down on the bench on the other sideline. The other team would fucking end you for sitting on
Except
their
it's
stuff.
even more weird in track, because track is an all-day thing, and for most of the time, you're not doing anything but waiting for your events to come up. So you're hanging out in your tent with the other people on your team that are also waiting for their events to come up. You occasionally get up, do a little bit of... Nick, I won a state championship in track. In the 4x100.
So even if he didn't say anything, the act of sitting in the other team's tent is an aggressive, provocative thing to do. Then he seemed to continually instigate Metcalf by not doing it. Like Brahma says, it seems like this was a half thought out, half baked plan,
fantasy for getting to use his knife,
for being able to kill somebody. You know what? I don't even think he was going to... I don't even know that he planned to kill the person. I think he just planned to stab someone with it.
Well, you don't typically stab directly to the chest without intent to kill, especially with a blade that size.
Yeah, and to release the McCracken's point, he was charged with first-degree murder, which is premeditated murder. So the act of bringing the knife to the track meet shows planning to do something.
There's no other reason to have the knife.
There is no, like, you're bringing that for no other reason than to harm someone. And it is a reasonable inference to say that with that weapon, the harm you would do is lethal. It would be a lethal level harm. Like, if you bring a gun with you, they're not going to assume you're planning on maiming someone. They're going to assume you're planning on bringing that to kill someone. The knife is the same way.
Right.
Now, what has complicated the case is that it was immediately made racial. I think the fact pattern,
as they do.
The fact pattern of the case was so onerous that the only way to try to defend this would be to try to get them to get a jury impaneled that would O.J. Simpson this verdict, where they would, in spite of all the mountain of evidence in front of you, try to take a W for your tribal team instead of that.
I know where you're going with this, because the only 3 black jurors got
so this
out
was
by the prosecution,
and the defense tried to make a point against it. Unfortunately for the defense, these jurors, when voir dired, one of them, who was a teacher, said, "I don't know that I could convict a black
she was a teacher.
child.
Don't know that I can convict a student, especially a black student."
She said specifically a black child. Yep.
And the judge went back and read all the questionnaires and said, "Yeah, they've got cause to dismiss all 3 of these jurors."
And because
the other thing is, Comix. I mean, you're from right down there. It's Frisco, Texas. It's like 9 to 11% black in that specific area of Dallas-Fort Worth. I mean, there's a very good chance you're not going to, when you're sending out, jury summons, there's a very good chance you're not going to hit any black households.
No, majority would either be white or Hispanic.
Peers are, going to be white and Hispanic in Frisco.
Now, this is where the jury is, the jury is not all white. The jury is mixed with Latino and I believe Asian. Also,
let me remind everybody of the other thing that was happening at the exact same time that this was happening. So the Carmelo Anthony stabbing is happening, and we've got the GoFundMe that's going out for him that's getting millions. At the same time, we had the situation with the white lady on the playground calling
dropping an N-bomb.
The other kid the N-bomb. And so you had these competing GoFundMes that were like racial stand-ins. So I just want to remind everybody that that's where we were when this was all happening.
And you also had some people making some very kind of racially charged comments on Carmelo Anthony's GoFundMe.
Yeah. And excited and happy that he stabbed some white kid.
Yeah. Which is pretty fucked up.
Okay. Now you can proceed, Chad. Sorry. I just wanted to remind everybody of that because it was kind of pertinent back at the time that it was happening, because the GoFundMes were ridiculous. And Carmelo Anthony's family just blew all the money.
I mean, I guess
on the trial?
No. On moving to a new house in, I believe it's Louisiana. They bought a house. They bought multiple new cars, if I remember right.
Well, yeah, because they said they needed
those blowing money left and right. You thought what?
I thought a lot of that was fake, because I know that there was stuff going around where they're like, this is like the stuff they bought, and it's like, no, that actually was not the case.
They absolutely did move.
Got a new house
out of state. Got a new house,
and they did get large luxury SUVs because they said they needed that to be able to transport him and his team safely.
Yep.
So those were that's
also
how they.
Part of the reason that Metcalf was the one that went up to Anthony is because the coaches had texted him and his brother and one other guy, I think they said, before the track meet, and said, "Hey, you guys need to make sure you keep everything on lockdown. We're counting on you. You're the leadership of the team." So when he had been asked 15 times to leave, that is, I believe, when Metcalf was asked to step in a little bit. And then the coach, sadly, after it happened, sent one more text to Metcalf. From what I've heard, this could be
he said, "I need you to step up." Text,
right? But after it happened, he sent out another text. The last text he sent out to Metcalf, which was basically, "I'm sorry, I never got a chance to, love you guys."
I don't know.
Say it enough.
I didn't.
I don't know.
I don't know if
it's
that
neither
was
here
brought
nor
up.
there on that part, but just interesting if true. But
no, I mean this is an open and shut case. I was waiting to see if the first two defendants. So this is the thing. Like when the prosecution rested, the defense has to immediately reorient the jury to their side. Like in terms of legal mechanics, you need to flip that script. You're going into the end of a day. You need to leave it so when the jury goes home, they have they have something that they're going to start hanging the doubt hat on. So you put your best witness up first. Not necessarily Anthony, but your best witness to try to blow up what the prosecution has spent a week laying out. If this is what they had to try to blow up the prosecution's case and it ended up merely reinforcing what the prosecution had been saying, they're fucked. There's, you needed something where you needed a witness that said, no, Metcalf was, being, American history Xing this kid. He was going to have him kiss the curb. Something. He was Graham Plattner and he had a Totenkopf when he took his shirt off. You need something to like completely flip the script to change things. Nope.
But you also need something that counters. From what I've heard, there has been more video shown, which makes things pretty clear as well.
Well, that's why I thought from the initial reporting on this case, when it was very telling, right? The reporters were all up in arms about this case. And then the police let them all go in and watch the actual video they had, and all of a sudden this the national media uproar just stopped.
Yep.
Because I think they knew that this is not the case where they can George Floyd it.
Yeah.
They need something in a lot of ways, and this is one of the reasons I'm actually very supportive of body cams for police.
Mm-hmm.
Video has done more to disarm,
to vindicate.
Well, it's the reason why they want to get rid of body cams now, is because suddenly it's reversing the fucking narrative.
The same side that was calling for the body cams, because cops just kill black people left and right all the time. They're constantly abusing everybody. Now that the narrative has been shown that is absolutely not the case with body cams. I mean, it happens.
Oh, it's a violation
but
of
not at the numbers that they were thinking it happens. I mean, you ask, how many men on the streets have you seen where, somebody asks, well, how many unarmed black people do cops kill in a year? Oh, tens of thousands.
Brahma, do you remember?
Yeah, it's like 7.
Do you remember on the Ascendant Art show when I had that body cam from the police officer? And we were watching it because she was giving the interview to like internal affairs, trying to make the complaint.
Yeah.
And she was like, and then he took and slammed my face into the ground and he hurt me. And then they pulled up the body cam and she was running out of a place that she had just robbed. And the cop is just chasing her. And she runs head first into a pole.
Into like a streetlight pole.
And just goes down like
out.
And that's what and then in the interview, the internal affairs people were like, that's interesting because we reviewed the body cam footage.
Oh, really?
And it's not really what you're describing. And then she was like, oh, then they showed it to her. It's just like, oops. I guess that's different.
Yep.
And this is because body cams are having the video footage, it's really helpful. I do think that as much as I like the expectation of privacy within your own home and a lot of other things, when it comes to, again, public light, especially where you might have gatherings of where this kind of stuff could happen, I'm 100% okay with like schools having
CCTV
cameras everywhere in the common areas. Unless nothing in the bathroom. At least unless it's in Loudoun County, Virginia, and it's a trans kid, because then they can have whatever kind of camera they want in the bathroom and get away with it.
And then get sent to another school
Another school. But but I think it's telling, because I remember the same thing Brahma did. Those reporters, the police brought them right back. I remember the Daily Mail like all describing it like basically saying this Carmelo's fucked. We've seen the video footage now.
The only way he gets off is if it's just a jury that refuses to convict a black kid.
Yeah.
Which I think is also the same issue we will end up having with the Charlie Kirk shooting. I think everything is too politically charged at the moment. You get one or two people that hate Republicans, conservatives, or Charlie Kirk, but won't admit it, and they can make sure that Robinson goes free, or at least is a mistrial. I have no doubts that people would do that. Look at how they celebrated. The same thing was being done in this case. They literally celebrated a guy just outright killing another guy because it was a black guy killing a white guy in this case.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Don't be a bigot, bro.
Completely justified. They're still protesting outside of the courthouse right now to free Carmelo.
Jesus Christ.
You've
ridiculous.
still got the same idiot, lawyers that were making comments in the press right after this happened, still saying, yeah, he needs to be free. Who cares? So I have major concerns about the Tyler Robinson trial.
I'm not as worried about that. I think Utah's gonna get it done.
I think all it takes is one or two bad apples. I hope they get it done, and I hope he's publicly executed.
I would be more concerned about the damage that Candace is going to do. Just opening her mouth, being stupid.
Oh yeah, that is our last segment. Is all of our crazy ass influencers right now. Because Megan's been trying to rewrite history, and I don't know how many people follow Milk Bar TV on Twitter, but great account to watch because he puts these things together, and I'm going to use them. So ultimately, these are coming out regarding Megyn Kelly because she was on the Sean Ryan show, former CIA, very trustworthy guy who just suddenly is having the same questions as Tucker and Candace and Megan. So
you just ask some questions, Brom.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
Let's bring this one in. I don't trust any of these former CIA influencers that have
you shouldn't
popped up. Notice first word on the screen, Israel.
I'm going to be honest. I feel like the United States is just a fucking cow pasture full of cattle for Israel. We fight their wars. We die for their wars. We pay for their Iron Dome. We pay for pretty much all their missile defense. I printed a list out of all the shit they get, but
it must be long.
It is, and depressing, just like everything else. But yeah, U.S. taxpayers funded defense what America pays for. I love it.
What was that?
But
this whole 3-hour stream with him and Megan was just a 3-hour black pill session.
Okay.
It was ridiculous.
I guess I just
annual military.
I just don't get the fact that I don't feel like completely morally depressed that somehow Israel exists.
Right. And when you look at the actual amount of money that's involved between the United States and Israel, it is a minuscule amount.
I mean, the amount of money that fucking Somali immigrants are funneling out of our tax system is way more
massive compared to this.
Did you see there was? I gotta find. I think I might have bookmarked it. somebody pulled up like the number one nationality for welfare in every country, and shockingly, Somalia. Somali was like number one in Denmark, number one in England, number one in the United
Everywhere
States,
they
number
go.
one, like everywhere they go. It's like I'm seeing a trend.
It's like I say, it's like there's a pattern or something.
Yep. There's only a little bit more of this.
3.8 billion, 38 billion in total. Current 10-year memorandum of understanding signed under Obama, including 33 billion in foreign military financing and 5 billion dedicated to missile defense systems. Covers the Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow 2, Arrow 3, and Iron.
Fuck, that's less than they get in Ohio for the Somali daycares.
Yeah.
I mean, the Leering centers alone are worth 3 Iron Domes.
Yep. So here's Meg. I've got 2 videos that Milk Bar put together. That's basically just Megan trying to rewrite her own history. So these are funny.
People think of me as a Republican, but I haven't been a Republican in over 20 years. I don't want to wear either of these team jerseys. I'm against both of these guys. They're garbage. We all understood that's what Joe Biden meant. Republicans are garbage. So I'm going as hot garbage. That will be my Halloween costume. You are pouring fuel into a cauldron of hate that has now gotten one of ours killed and our most prominent leader of the Republican Party shot in the ear as one of his supporters behind him died.
The whole hour and, we thing says, yeah, it seems like you kind of were claiming to be a Republican the whole time.
In the arms of his family. We're not screwing around anymore. All these factors have gone into why it's more dangerous than ever to be a Republican. Let's face it. It's to be a Republican because it's our side of the aisle that's getting killed. But I haven't been a Republican in over 20 years. I'm pretty centrist in my politics. I mean, honestly, Trump could drop a nuke and I'd still vote Republican.
So there's one.
Wow, that's
now
definitely
let's look
rewriting
at her,
history.
Yeah, let's look at her 180 on Israel.
There are no words that can capture the evil that must exist in a person's heart to be capable of doing something like that, which you can only fully appreciate if you actually do look at it, as the Israelis have been forced to. They're our closest ally in the Middle East. We can't ignore what's happening to them. Our interests are directly aligned with theirs for a whole bunch of really good reasons.
There is a 100% correlation between conspiracy-minded thinking and the line between that and open anti-Semitism. And sometimes that path takes a while to get to, but it always gets there.
Like the cabal of powerful Jews controlling everything. Why we should feel optimistic. Like, if you go to the doctor tomorrow and you find out you have cancer, you might feel sad, but it's actually a good day because you found out about cancer and it's better to know so you can do something about it. That's how I see this whole problem with Israel. We didn't understand this on the left or the right about how much influence Israel had over American politics. Like the cabal of powerful Jews controlling everything.
Pretty big 180s.
Yep. Sure looks that way.
Tucker, same thing. Dave Smith spouting the same crap.
I think Dave Smith's been spouting that same crap for like a while. I think he's like one of the original guys spouting it.
Yeah. I never liked Dave Smith to begin with. I didn't find him funny. And I think he's absolutely horrible every time he's on Piers Morgan. Not that I would want to be on Piers Morgan, because I don't debate.
I would say Dave Smith has gotten worse for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely gone way over the edge.
Yeah.
So the other thing that's going on in the country is Newark has been going a little bit nuts because of the protesting outside of the ICE detention center. Let's watch we've got a couple clips that are just kind of hilarious. First, we'll look at the governor talking about what's going on, and Fox split screening it with what is currently going on while she's calling for everybody to be calm and peaceful, like Like we always are.
And you're certainly not keeping New Jersey safe. Today and going forward, I urge those protesting outside of Delaney Hall to bring the temperature down so we can focus on the detainees and their families. So comply with the lawful orders from local and state law enforcement and let advocates, faith leaders, and members of
I just
this
enjoy the
community
side by
continue
side.
their work. Here in America, you have a right to protest and a duty to do so peacefully. The work doesn't stop here. I'm going to keep working with our federal delegation to demand answers. I'm going to keep using every tool at my disposal to get full access to Delaney Hall. And I'm going to keep working for better conditions inside of this facility until it's closed for good. So today I'm calling on the Department of Homeland Security to do the following. Restore visitation for families. Provide appropriate care and medical for all
Can you
detainees,
pause real quick?
especially
The only reason they had to pause visitation was because the fucking rioters were making it so that people couldn't safely go in and out of the facility. If this bitch would send the fucking state troopers to do their goddamn job and enforce the law, the visitation would be going without any delay or disruption.
I'm not sure what's causing it in Colorado, but we did have a statewide, they've shut down visitation at every facility. Every prison in the state, there's no visitation rights right now. Which I don't think is actually a right anyway. I think it's a privilege, so.
Visitation? Yeah, I think it's a privilege.
Yeah, I don't think it's an actual right to be able to have visitors unless it's what your lawyer or attorney.
The most vulnerable. Give detainees a meaningful chance to review their cases. Stop pressuring them into signing deportation documents. Here in the United States of America, we can and we must do better. As governor, I swore an oath to the Constitution of New Jersey to promote peace, prosperity, and the lawful rights of everyone in our state. I'm going to uphold that oath, and now I'll turn it over to the attorney.
Okay,
I can uphold that oath by crapping all over it.
This one's funny. Oh, we can't open. I don't know why. That's weird. Let me try to open it again and see if it'll pop up. No, the file seems to have just disappeared. Even though I downloaded it. That's weird. Anyway, it was a guy who was just spouting off at ICE, and about 20 seconds in, he takes a non-lethal round and then starts crying like a little bitch. So it was funny. I wish we could show it. Let me find the other one, though, where ICE basically just absorbs a guy into them. It's really rather hilarious. Also, Comix, did you see anything locally about all the craziness outside of the TPUSA event in San Antonio?
No, actually, I did not.
Oh,
I've been pretty heads down on some stuff, though.
Yeah, they had full-on Antifa show up and protest Turning Point.
No, I didn't know that. Where were they hosting it at?
I'm not sure. Just somewhere in San Antonio.
Google it.
Let's see.
Protest.
Absolute chaos outside TPUSA's event in San Antonio as rioters clash with police.
Ah, fantastic.
But nothing on the local news?
Ah, dude.
Or do you even pay attention to the local news?
I don't watch the local fucking news, man. This looks small. This looks really fucking small.
Yeah.
Yeah. This looks like maybe 100 people.
Well, it got a little bit ugly. I can show that while I'm looking for the other clip. So here is the rioting outside of Turning Point USA's event in San Antonio.
At least the fucking police did something.
Yep.
I love how they're calling the police Nazis and they're all Hispanic.
Right. It doesn't work quite the same way in Texas as it does in some other cities.
No, it doesn't. Oh wow. Okay, this happened. Okay, so I guess this happened today. I was actually not in San Antonio most of today, so
okay.
Probably the reason why I didn't hear much about it. But
I really want to find the other one where the guy just gets absorbed into the police.
Okay, I know exactly where that is. Yeah.
Okay, I found the clip. Let me see if it'll download. And then we'll watch Tom Homan explaining what he's going to do if they keep protesting at the Newark Detention Center. Let's see, Eric Doherty. Jed, you still around?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
So,
did you do the super chat you got?
It looks like where they're protesting at is actually, it's near River Center Mall, downtown.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. The Marriott, the Marriott at River Center. That's exactly what I thought it was.
So this guy's been out there antagonizing the police all night, or ICE all night. Just watch what happens to him because it's hilarious. He full on just disappears. Yoink. And like you don't see anything going on behind them. He's just gone. Love it.
Yeah, and the funny thing, this article I found, they actually have a dude out there with a fucking communist flag or communist symbol. So yeah, these are fucking commies.
Yep. The actual hammer and sickle.
Yep.
All right, so here's
I
Holman.
went to the facility. I stand by the facility again.
Talking about the facility. There's some video of what's been going on. But
I went to the facility. I stand by the facility again. It's not a Hilton. This is not a Grand Hilton. It's a detention center. And I've been in a lot of jails, and I've been in 2 state prisons. I wish they would go to their own state prison, look at that, then come to the Delaney Hall, get something to compare it to. Because I think they'll understand that detention is not a luxury. Detention, and they say they want to shut down the facility, they want us to release detainees. You know, when I looked at the files, you know, a lot of people in that facility are mandatory detention by federal statute. We couldn't release them if we wanted to, because there's certain people, whether they're expedited removals, whether it's certain criminal, whether they're final order cases, by law, we have to detain them. And here's what they're not talking about. You want to shut down the facility? Then every illegal alien we arrest in that state will fly to Texas, we'll fly to Arizona, detain them there. Because we're going to keep arresting people. We're going to keep detaining people.
you catch that? If you want to shut down that facility, fine. We will just fly them to Texas and put them in that facility. Good luck protesting that one.
People, we're going to keep removing people. If I can't detain them in that city where they're close to their families, then we'll have to move them someplace else. How does that benefit the migrant community? I mean, you're not going to shut down ICE enforcement. You're certainly not going to abolish ICE, and you're not going to stop us from doing our job. President Trump's in the Oval Office. He's there mainly because of what the Biden administration did to the border. Where were all these congressional representatives and politicians in 4 years open border? How come they didn't take Secretary Mayorkas on? How come they didn't take the Biden administration on for opening border? Over 10 million people flow to our border, many criminals, many sex offenders, 2.1 million gotaways. Where do they come from? Who are they? How many of them are terrorists? How many of them are criminals? They didn't say a word about what happened the last 4 years. And the reason ICE is out there arresting people right now because we're responding to a historic illegal immigration crisis that they made, that they created on purpose. So a massive historic illegal alien crisis, how to respond to that? To massive deportation, because most of these people should never have been released in the country.
And Mr. Homan.
So there was also reports. So people kept complaining that they were, being mistreated in these facilities, and that the food was crap, and they were, not being taken care of. So Homan went and had lunch, just surprised and unannounced, went and had lunch at one of the facilities, eating what the people being detained were having. he was like, no, it was actually pretty good. I did skip dessert because I don't need the extra weight. But he went through everything that he ate there at the facility, and he was like, no, it's better than you would get at most hotels, or, for like the continental breakfast, or at some restaurants. So Holman's been one of the best of the people that Trump has brought on board. So let's grab these super chats though. Darren for 10. Great show, Brahma, Chad, Ian. My thanks to the chat for being good tonight. Oh, Brahma, the video, maybe the brunette, and Bouncy. All right, hopefully my wife has stopped watching.
All hail the bullpen.
Boing, boing.
And Eric K over on the Rumble side for $1 says, State of Minnesota is the #1 sponsor of the terrorist group Al-Shabaab in Somalia. A Trump supporter outside of federal building has gasoline thrown on him. Luckily, he got away before they lit him up.
Jesus Christ.
Did not hear about that one.
No, I didn't hear about that either. It's funny, I was looking at the video of the protest. The majority of the protesters are women.
Shocking.
Lil Chad always wants more, and so do I.
Yep. So that gets us caught up on the super chats. Chad, anything else you wanted to cover? I mean, we got funding through the Senate through 2029 for ICE and DHS, right?
Yeah, but they were still bitches about the SAVE Act.
Yeah, I kind of don't agree with the Republicans doing some of this, because I think the Democrats should have had to hold on to that albatross around their neck that they've basically had the government shut down, or that portion of the government shut down, and we gave them a get out of jail free card.
Look, for those of us who work in GovCon and need that portion of government to write checks, I'm not upset about it.
I get it, but it seems like you just let him off the hook.
I mean, we need to have a functioning government. And funding the DHS, you got to understand the divisions. Even though ICE was funded, the HSI, which is the security division of DHS, was not funded. So none of the stuff that was actually going to be able to protect ICE agents was available. It's very complicated. Like, Department of Homeland Security is, because of the way it was created, where it integrated agencies that mostly already existed within different areas of the government, is a very serpentine Gordian knot of approvals and labyrinths you have to go for different stuff. So
you're saying George R.R. Martin could not write his way out of it?
He would. I mean, it's coming. Don't
he ties
worry.
Himself in knots, and his story.
Yeah, it's coming.
So he blames this 15-year break.
I think he blames it on the fact that he, no matter what this fat fuck says, that ending was exactly what he was gonna write, and he saw how absolutely
how poorly received
hated it was, and so he's just decided he's been trying to rewrite it for years now, and it fucked him up. On the plus side, I did want to, in a moment for something that's a little more on the levity side, and I think Comix will like this one. Here you go, Comix. Sometimes you just need Mr. Rogers with a stack of bills. Here you go. I hate when Evie Mux makes the little pop-up screen. Look, try to...
Always remember to stack that bread, neighbor. Money, cash, hose. I'm about my paper, no cap.
Boats and hose.
All right, gents. I got to bounce. I
thought that would be a good way to
dodge.
let you
Needs to go out.
All right.
See, on that note, remember, be about money, paper, and hose.
Yeah. I'm streaming tomorrow, 9 p.m. Central. Come check it out, and some other stuff during the week.
Any idea on the topic yet? Because you've been doing crazy stuff.
We haven't. I have not.
Like historical crazy, because that's more MadEPAP.
No, more like just like kind of like weird
Urban
shit.
legends,
ghost
and stories.
Yeah.
Ooh,
stuff.
Look up the Bunny Man in Northern Virginia. You might like that one. Kind of fits. It's Northern Virginia's most famous urban legend. Bunny Man Bridge.
Bunny Man?
Bunny Man
Bunny
Bridge.
Man Bridge.
Yep.
Okay, Bunny Man Bridge. Bunny Man Brewing.
Just type Bunny Man Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Comix, thanks for being here and hanging out, and I will see you Thursday.
Sounds good. Good
Always
evening, everyone, and
always fun seeing you, Comix.
Good seeing you too, man. Take care, guys.
Later.
Have a good night.
Later.
I'll be
All
honest.
right.
By the time you do your show Thursday with them, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a verdict in Carmelo Anthony's case. I don't
It was
see
set to go 2 to 3 weeks. You think it? I don't see how it goes that long.
I don't know how the defense is going to have. Like, what are they going to put up there?
Him, and he's the one who told the cop when
I did it.
He literally walked up to the cop. The cop was, you're the alleged stabber? And he goes, I'm not alleged. I did it.
Yeah.
I stabbed him. And then all the facts coming out about the situation surrounding it say, yeah, it was not self-defense in any way, as we went over. I've got one last clip.
I just
play
don't know how
tonight.
his defense could stretch. I mean, what are they like? How do you stretch that out?
I don't know. I was kind of surprised that the prosecution rested that early, but they hammered everything. So there is no way out for this kid, and it should be life in prison, if not the death sentence, but I doubt they're going to get the death sentence. Even in Texas. Because he was, 17 at the time? So it'll probably just be life.
No, under the Supreme Court, they can't put him in. The Supreme Court ruled that minors weren't eligible for the death penalty.
Right. So it'll probably just be life.
Yeah, the most he could get is life in prison.
Which is ridiculous. Let's pay for him to live another 70 years. So last clip of the night, rising star in the Republican Party, Brandon Gill. Have you seen this guy?
I feel like I've seen clips of him before.
I'm really
Has Somali
liking
immigration been good for Ohio?
Oh yeah. I know who it is now.
Okay.
Yep.
I believe freshman congressman, right?
I think out of Ohio, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a congressional hearing where he's talking to one of the Democrat state senators.
Has Somali immigration been good for Ohio?
Who can? Yeah, this is.
That's
great.
really outside of my purview of.
You're a state senator. Would you like to see
information.
more
Well,
immigration from
as far
Somalia?
as I'm processing your question, and I have to say that I was almost brought to tears just now.
72%
because
of
the
Somali immigrants are
the
on
rate
welfare.
and the level of hateful rhetoric based
You're
on
defrauding your
false
state at an
information
astounding rate, and I think that most Ohioans
is
would have a
shocking
problem
to me.
with that.
The lack of even humanity to
I
group
think it's
a group
inhumane
of
to allow
people
your
together.
own state to be defrauded
I am
at
shocked.
astounding
I
rates.
am shocked
Billions
and
of dollars
appalled by the
taken out of the
What it comes down to is Brandon Gill does not give a crap. He will just talk over your stupid talking points like, I was almost brought to tears just now because you said Somalians are bad. Keep an eye on this guy because he's going to be a big player in the Republican Party in the next 10 years.
pockets of
right
working
now.
class people
I am
going to
shocked.
criminal fraudsters.
Because
I certainly
in
have a major problem
in every
with that.
community.
I mean, she's trying to spout talking points. He's done this multiple times now, where he just literally cuts straight to the heart of the issue while they try to spew talking points at him. And he's just like, no, this is fraud. This is bad. This is this. This is that. I mean, he goes straight at every single person that he talks to as far as in these kind of congressional hearings. So keep an eye on Brandon Gill. Gonna be somebody to watch for the next, like I said, probably the next 10 years, as he's going to be a major rising star, as long as he doesn't have a whole bunch of skeletons in the closet like some of them do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of, I mean, Vivek is running for governor. Not my favorite. And I think the senators are both going to be older gentlemen, so he's got options.
I think Vivek, he's got a few issues. He's made a few missteps. But I also think that when I was listening to him when he was early in his campaign running for president, I agreed with a lot of what Vivek says, and I agree with trying to get some of the, I kind of wish it would have been Gen X a little bit, but some of the millennials on into government and push out some of these 80 to 85-year-olds that are still sitting in Congress and still running things in states. I'm just double checking to see where Brandon is actually a congressman from. Is it Ohio?
I believe it is, yeah.
No, he's Texas. Texas
Oh,
is
Texas?
26th congressional district. So he's in a safe seat and will be around doing this for a long time.
Nice.
Unless he jumps into a higher office, because congressional seat in Texas, good, but you need voices like his to go bigger.
I'm excited.
What do you
for
got coming up
Brandon-
this week?
I was just about to say, I'm excited Brandon Herrera is going to be joining the congressional delegation.
Absolutely.
Next year, because he's going to be all. Not to mention having someone who genuinely understands the YouTube,
the social media, YouTube.
Well, the fact,
ecosystem.
the way YouTube fucks people over in terms of conservative commentary is going to genuinely be helpful, because none of these guys even understand. Listening to the Supreme Court case when they were talking about social media blacklisting was so painful, because
Well, it's almost as bad as listening to a Senate hearing or a congressional hearing on anything with the internet and a whole bunch of 85-year-olds going, well, I mean, does it still make that weird sound when you dial up? And none of them understand anything about the internet, because they're too freaking old to be running this country.
I know.
But you were saying the Supreme Court.
Like when they were like, well, it doesn't seem like, I mean, they were just doing it of their own. No, oh my God, just like it's almost as bad as when they're doing some kind of gun case, but at least Clarence Thomas and Alito, have a general understanding of the functioning of firearms. Right. Whereas I don't think any of the 9 justices have a genuine understanding of the functioning of the internet and social media and how it genuinely works. Like when they talk about, when the Supreme Court did their case on metadata and why it's no big deal to collect metadata without a warrant, I was like, do you understand the amount of shit you can get with... No, they don't. Like, metadata fed through an AI filter can get you so much on a person in terms of patterns, behaviors, who they're talking to. All this. We know this. But the Supreme Court is like, no, that's nothing. That's, you could just have it. Just have it. Just have it.
Yeah.
It's like, now, getting to your question about what we got coming up this week. Just a normal show. We finished your bracket. Yay. It was a good one. It was fun times.
Well, I enjoyed it.
I think, no, it was, I like the brackets because I got crucified when I made one. And now you got one. And next is Mad. And he will get nailed to the cross on his bracket, which is 2000s music.
Yeah, because I think we've got a lot more 40 plus in the chat than we have 30 to 40, and I don't think they're going to be big fans of boy bands.
I will tell you that if we don't get to there it is. I knew it was coming. If we don't get that Nick Cage bracket within the next month, Tina's gonna. But that is actually a brilliant idea. Nick Cage is one of the few actors that is batshit crazy and prolific enough where you can do a 64 movie bracket,
maybe a 32.
No, I think he's genuinely got 64. I mean, some of those are you need those 16 seeds, Brahma.
Right. I was just looking into some stuff on Brandon Gill. So apparently he's married to a Danielle D'Souza.
Why does that sound familiar?
Because I believe she is Dinesh D'Souza's daughter.
I don't need... That's okay. It's all right. I don't want it, like, this whole...
Dinesh can be good. He's also a little bit crazy sometimes.
Well, the conservative influencer, like, circle jerk, where they all seem to be effing each other, isn't helped by this kind of thing.
No, but as long as he keeps just full on going at everybody, I'm fine with it. I mean, I'm fine with his style. I mean, it's kind of like Nick Freitas and a few others where it's just, no, bull in the china shop. But I thought I would bring that to everybody's attention as well. That I haven't found anything that directly ties them together, but I mean, she was part of one of Trump's teams, and the last name's D'Souza. It would seem likely that she is related to Dinesh D'Souza.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got that coming up on Ascendant Art Friday. As for me, I will be on Mad's channel on Tuesday, Mad's new channel, where we do History Interrupted. Dr. Jones is saying, lift my dad up in prayer. He's in the hospital. Will do.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Hope he recovers quickly, but we'll definitely throw up a prayer. Thursday, I'm on Comix channel. Friday, with that guy. Saturday, we've got hopefully our final bourbon boarding of the season. People keep asking me if I'm watching this series, and it's like, no, I hate Vegas, and I expect Carolina to win, but it's not looking good. So then we're back here for the Bullpen next Sunday, and we will do some credits, and I will sneak away, and then we'll do a little bit of after show. You good with that?
Yep. I will say, before the main show ends up, if everybody else, tomorrow, fingers crossed the Knicks win, because Trump's going to be in attendance, and God help us, like how the media will react if Trump goes there and the Knicks lose. They'll blame everything on him and all this. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Knicks fan, and I wouldn't mind an NBA championship in my lifetime. So.
I don't know how anybody can be an NBA fan in any way at this point, but I'm gonna go smoke. Here's your credits, everybody. We'll see you for the after show.
All right, see you in a couple.
We're closing out another one. 3 hours deep, but we're not done. Cover the bills, the votes, the mess. Political theater at its best, I guess. Chat was wild and takes were flying. Politicians out here straight up lying. We broke it down, no filter, no spin. That's how the bullpen's always been. Bullpen's out, we said what we said. No delulu takes, spraying truth like lead. Inside precision, facts in the clip. Next round, loading knowledge, we equip the bullpen. Dead ass, the chops on lock, got the flow, see it mainstream pushing cap, but we see it clear. Into minds cutting straight through the haze, real spit, no front. brothers ain't playing no games. Lip slipping, tripping on the foolery. We just chop it, call it raw truly. We're fact checking every statement with meticulous precision, while the politicians sleeping through the legislative mission. Corporate media is feeding you a carefully designed revision. We the antidote to all the manufactured television. Bureaucratic nightmare navigating through the slow decay. Congress moving at a pace designed to keep the wolves at bay. Executive decisions, Supreme Court rulings on display. We covered every angle, no cap. That's how we play. Legislation passing in the darkness of the midnight hour. Lobbyists manipulating every center of the power. But we're watching every movement from our independent towers, exposing all the corruption while the mainstream media cowers. So we're closing for the week, but the messages consist of real political discourse out the corporate funding for perspectives unified and intellectual resistance. Independent media's the future, we the vanguard. Next stream hitting harder with the content we've been gathering. Bullpen moving forward, independent voices battering the walls of propaganda with the facts that we've been mastering. Bullpen's out, we said what we said. No the Lulu text, spraying truth like lead. Inside precision, facts in the clip. Next round, loading knowledge, we equip the bullpen. Peace, stay informed, stay skeptical.
I guess from the empty chair, I'm starting the after show without Brahma because he's still smoking. So I'm going to look at chat and see, does anybody have any topics they want to talk about in the after show? There's Brahma.
You would not believe the size of the cherry on that cigarette when I'm trying to suck it down that quick to get back here.
I as a non-smoker, I would not.
You would not. Like, it hurts trying to smoke that quick. Well, what do we want to talk about?
Let's see. I'm trying to see.
Let's see.
We've got a whole bunch of different things.
What do you guys want us to talk about? Parrot Head says Bryce Dallas Howard. Gross.
I am 100% behind that. In fact, I think I have a saved post on Twitter.
Oh, McCracken's got some memes out there if you want to grab them. And I'm going to terminate the Twitter feeds for the after show.
All right. Oh, this is a good one. Yeah, all right. This one from Kraken. We've got
Bottoms
from the for Hakeem Jeffries and James Talrico. It looks like Karen Bass up top, along
the one
with
in the green shirt is Kamala's
stepdaughter. Stepdaughter.
You know, the supermodel.
God, maybe
one of the ugliest women I have ever seen in my life, and they made that thing a model.
Look, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but when a girl raises her arms up and purposefully doesn't wear sleeves and she's not shaving the pits, not a.
And you know the legs are likely the same.
Yup. Not good.
Yeah, no. Was that the only meme?
Apparently, McCracken decided I had to go full roided out on my avatar here because I was a big Chad tonight.
Now you've grown up.
Now I've grown up. Yeah, I guess that was in reference to my various comments about different things that are where I'm like, and look here, we know what grinds my gears.
You know, you should probably explain the origins of that. I don't know if we've explained it before on our show.
Grinding my gears. That's a Family Guy reference.
No, the origins of Little Chad.
Oh,
where it all came from, what you did. I know it's kind of defunct at the moment, but people might like to actually go out and search it up.
Yeah, I did. I did just pay to renew the friggin' website. So
then, yeah, you should probably get some people to go see the friggin' website.
I know, but I'm kind of like I got burnt down on. Like, here's the real thing. Like, this leads to a good topic. Conservative investment, and this is something that I think Marsden talks about too.
Yeah,
I had some really strong supporters, like people like Eric, who's been in all our chats and everything. But I just like I didn't ask for money when I was making the comic strip, but I did ask for like some Patreon, $1 here, $1 there, kind of thing like that. And I got some people who helped, like around 10. I had at peak I had like God knows how many were just bots following, like around 19,000 Twitter followers.
Yeah, you've got a large Twitter
including rather large accounts. So I was like, okay, I'll just put out, and I had a tier where it was like $1.99 a month. And it's like pulling teeth to get people to support any kind of conservative art or things like that. They always, I was talking with people about, like publishing, making a physical book out of it and doing things like that out of the comic strips we were making.
Right.
And so I didn't want to do a crowdfunding per se. I wanted to actually, and I did the math, and it would be like, it'd be like a few $1,000s of lead investment, and then I could do a like a pre-order instead of crowdfunding, kind of more like Rippo does, where I wanted to have the product ready rather than like where when I put up the
crowdfunding, I'm going to go do it like
EVS. For me, the crowdfunding would have been going up once I'd actually put the orders in, and I'm just waiting to receive the product. It's just and you can pre-order
the books and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, and that way, when I put it up, you're definitely getting it within a month or two. It's just, it's pre-order to get it once it's available, physically.
So and more like how Jason Sandberg does it.
Yeah, and people were, and I was talking because, again, I'm in the DC area, and I had lead on some people. And they were like, no, that's a lot of money. I was like, it's like $3,000.
Right.
And it's ridiculous. Like, I was like, you MFers are dropping 20 times that for heritage white papers that are meaningless. I was like, and I'm just asking for a little bit to make a book that I think eventually I will pay you back, the money plus, and then I'll keep what, the profit beyond that. And, we can work out a royalty for you fronting the money if you want. But it was like all they wanted like full on fucking business, stuff to show how they're not going to lose money. I was like, worst case, you're out a few $1,000s on something that was attempting to be culturally helpful, and you're not willing to do it. I was like, what happens on the left wing? You think fucking, queer books that are in those libraries were getting published because they thought they'd get a return on the money investment? No, they wanted to win and this is why we have so much problems. Like we have money on the right, but we don't have anybody who's willing to invest money in cultural things. And when we do get it, we get stuff where like Daily Wire and they end up making, and no offense to Gina, that movie was bad.
That movie sucked.
And
Gina specifically was not good in it.
And then
I like Gina Carano, but that was a crappy movie.
Yeah, and then you get
the decision to go with no soundtrack at all probably screwed it up even more.
Yeah, and then you get something like what was that one with McDonough, where it was gonna
Neil
be
McDonough.
where it was gonna be a
where
movie
they basically
and
have
then,
a post-apocalyptic
Yeah.
compound.
Yeah, and it was going to go into a TV show. I think Angel Studios
did.
was doing it.
There is a whole season of the TV show.
It just didn't,
But I don't think anybody watched it after that because Neil McDonough is basically out after the movie.
Yeah.
From what I saw.
They do stuff like that where like you get someone who has some cachet, but you don't commit them to the series. There has to be a commitment, and I get not to have gone off on a rant on this.
Well,
but
this is like Marsden.
Yeah.
You know, I've talked with him on it. The whole thing of why is it so hard to get, if you've got 100,000 people following you on Twitter or 300,000 people, why is it so hard to get any of them to just come and press subscribe on YouTube? You don't even have to watch. A lot of it is just getting into the algorithm.
Yeah.
Which I think I told you. No, I may not have told you because we haven't really talked since last Sunday. So you know how we had Mad also simulcasting last Sunday?
Yeah.
With my description and with my thumbnail. So his version of the show got like multiple thousand, or getting up to multiple thousands of views. Ours stayed at like 700. So Mad's version of the show caught the algorithm, and ours didn't.
Oh, nice.
Which
for
I
Matt.
thought was hilarious.
Did he pick up subs?
7 or 8.
That's still nice. It's always good for somebody to do that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, update for everybody. Mad is going to go see his dad in Costa Rica, I think on the 18th. So he did get the funds raised and is making his way out there. So.
Oh, that's good.
But
yeah.
I mean, so
but
explain what your comic strip was a little bit. For
oh yeah, I mean
the
idea behind it was kind of like to try to do. I mean, you can see the design inspirations coming from like Calvin and Hobbes and doing stuff like that, and the idea being make a fun comic strip that is going for just. And Calvin and Hobbes was one of my favorite ones as a kid. Calvin and Hobbes worked on a more adult level than the average comic strip. It wasn't just kids, like it was jokes that were kind of hitting a little more adult, even though they were also kid jokes.
Right.
With the idea we can make a comic strip, that is clearly comic strips are designed to be aimed at kids, that can be humorous, but also something that is promoting good value systems and moral choices and kind of poking fun at what it's like raising kids in modern 10s, 2020s.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that I read, basically, you've got lefty SJW. I mean, it would have been at that time called SJWs. And moves into the house or moves back into town.
That may or may not have been based on a real in-law I have.
Right.
And a lot of it was coming from inspiration from my actual family. I do have a son. I do have I may or may not have a sister-in-law who was in an Obama campaign commercial in Virginia because she was knee-deep that into it. And that might have been the basis for Aunt Karen in the comic strip.
And of course, the name's Karen.
Well, I do also believe in mimetic shortcuts. Like there's things like if you watch movies, if there's tricks where you make a camera upside down to show that the character has a skewed perspective. In this case, I shorthanded it by the kid's name is Chad on purpose because the Chad meme, right?
The Chad.
Yeah, so we've got Chad Jr. and his dad Chad, and the wife's name is Stacy because that was the meme, right? The Stacy, and then the aunt was Karen. And I did it on purpose because you want to present a cultural shorthand that's easy for people to you know what a Karen is. You and me, and then with the character design, she's got the hair, got the nose ring. It's when you combine those visual, By the way, there is no greater accurate flag than the septum ring.
Oh, absolutely. Especially the actual hoop, nostril to nostril hoop.
Yep.
I mean, the little side piercing you can sometimes get away with.
Yeah, the side
but when
piercing.
you go full on bull hoop, yeah, no, you're done. You're cooked.
Yeah, I remember when we were in high school, the side piercing was the big one.
But it was, I mean, they were so tiny also.
Yeah.
It was just a little sparkle on the sides of girls' noses.
Honestly,
it wasn't the same as wearing the full septum.
When we were in high school, the big thing I remember was them getting like all the piercings on their ear, like all the way up their ear, where they were adding like
1, 2, 3,
gazillion
4.
like
The cartilage piercing.
Yeah. But yeah, so when I was doing the comic strip, I was using like memetic shorthand to create like a specific instant knowledge base, right? You get where you're going with and then I wanted to kind of change people. Like the end goal is to show that everybody, like, because I don't believe that it's good to dehumanize people completely, obviously. So Aunt Karen had moments where she would see that her nephew genuinely loved her and was trying to be nice to her and just didn't understand why she would be, like doing the thing,
why she's freaking insane.
With the idea that eventually the long-term story arc would have been redemption.
I mean, there's only two ways it can go: redemption, or she kills the kid.
Yeah. So, well, if you're a YouTuber and you get your stuff. So, but it wasn't, I faced bouts of unemployment that I had to work around. And then the burnout factor of not getting a lot of support when I was, looking for just a minute. To me, with the volume of people I had, it should have been a minimal number. And I couldn't even get that for where people were genuinely willing to put even, like, again, $1.90. I feel like I'm in one of those old 90s commercials for just this much a day. But if you look at it, like if you do $1.99 30 days, right, it's like 6 cents a day. Like, like, could you, like, I'm,
Chad sitting there begging, and in the background you got McLaughlin in the arms of the
By the way, we were, do you ever watch like the old commercials on YouTube sometimes where they have the people who put them together as a block? I like doing that
every now and then.
And
whole
I was
bunch
just
of Sally Struthers commercials.
I was just watching one with my wife like 2-3 days ago, and the Pound Puppies commercial came on, and I was like, holy fuck, they were training us from the 80s to be like mentally prepared for that Sarah McLachlan commercial, like,
right,
with the Pound Puppies. But yeah, so I was, for just that little bit of money, if like I said, I had all those thousands, if only like if a few hundred, that's a couple, like that's, X number of dollars per month that I could start pulling in. And so I was pitching to some people who were genuinely into like conservative money media. What I wanted to do was I had some other guys who were graphic designers who could help and do. I was like, I want to basically let me quit my job. I'll get this other couple guys to quit my job. There'd be like 3 of us for X dollars in salary.
So you were writing the strip, somebody else was doing the actual art.
Yeah,
right?
I was working. Yep, I was working with an artist because I didn't have at the time I didn't have the training at that time. Yep. So but I was pitching. I was like, look, if you do X dollars a year to basically have us full time working on this kind of stuff, I can, with this graphic artist I have, with myself, and with I was like, I have 3 or 4 other comic strip concepts that we could be executing on a weekly basis. We could also be basically a instant kind of cultural, like, the kind of people who could go on Tim Pool, like Seamus, who does Freedom Tunes and things like that, where we'd be able to pump like conservative media, like culture and media up. And it's nothing compared to what they're spending on, again, Heritage and all these people on white papers. If you talk to the funding people and explain that if they just fronted X dollars, it could finance this for like a decade. and it's not, and it's less than what they put in just to, you know, get their tax write off for this kind of stuff. And it was like they all wanted for, they were like focused on what's the return on investment. I was like, this, there's no guaranteed return. I'd like to, I can tell you
and
that if
it's
this
more
hits,
culturally, you know,
yeah, I was like,
the
if
idea
this
is out there, not so much a monetary return.
exactly, I was like, if this hits, that'll be great and we can make money. But you've got to be willing to get into the, like, again, I point out the left, like, do you think they're they're genuinely making money on these books? No fucking way.
Well, yeah,
They're
aren't,
not.
because every library in the country is being forced to basically
Yeah, the
buy a copy.
scholastic system is like, well, and if we're not going to hit that system, you have to understand, if you genuinely believe this is a culturally meaningful war to fight ideologically, do it. Like, come on,
Right.
put your, you know, like, it's,
Or
I'm,
get it into some of the more right-wing leaning newspapers across the country.
Yeah.
In the actual comic strip form. McCracken had said, wasn't Chrissy in?
yeah, she was in, yeah, because that's, I, you know, I had put her in because I knew Chrissy. And so I put her character. I
Like
specifically,
personally, or you knew of her?
I had talked with her, you know, like, because I knew people who knew her, and
Just
so
DM back and
yeah.
forth, that kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. And so for me, it was like, okay, her
I'm practicing
personality,
my interview style, just so you know.
yeah, her personality was a perfect fit for me because I needed a crasser character that could say things that I wouldn't have coming out of Chad's mouth to be more antagonistic. I needed somebody who would, for lack of a better word, bluntly piss off Aunt Karen in a way, because Lil Chad, being the nephew, he could say things that were innocent that would be funny and like be against Aunt Karen, but he wouldn't be doing something hateful and spiteful because he genuinely loved his aunt, right? It's
Because
his aunt.
family.
Because it's family. So I wanted a character that could be acerbic. And so I was like, oh, Chrissy would be a good one to base that on. And so, yeah, so I was using that. And then I helped her with her cover for her album and things like that.
And Jim, we'll get to the super chat. Just finishing up this discussion first.
Yeah, so it's it was good. I made little bios for all my characters. Again, I was pulling most of the recurring characters outside of like Chrissy were people inspired by my real life.
Right.
And so I was doing, and that's why, you know, in the comic strip, the Lil Chad character was homeschooled versus going to regular school because we homeschool our son.
Right.
We, you know.
And I've read quite a few of them, but how many were there? Like 300?
No, we didn't get that high.
Okay.
It was, I think we got to like.
Because I just started from number 1 and
it was like, I got to like 60. It was, because.
Was it only 60?
Yeah. The other thing is it's a lot of work to do one every week. And I was trying to make sure I was putting effort into like checking. I would
well,
go
there's
through
also multiple panels.
Yeah. It was 4 panels, you know, of comic strip a week. And they weren't every week.
It wasn't the Far Side. It was more Marmaduke.
No. So it was, and it was, again, it was, I thought it was good. It was, I had some people I would A/B test like my drafts with to make sure the writing was coming off with the message and joke that I wanted to, and stuff like that.
Right.
So, you know, I was worried, I was getting other people to help me with feedback. Again, no way I could compensate them because I wasn't getting any compensation for myself. So
right.
it became a lot
for the love of the game.
Yep. Slender was one of the people who helped with that. Yep. And it was good, but it was a big kind of task for something where and this is why I'm very sympathetic to people like Marsden who talk about it. When you're trying to like kindle something to get support and you're not asking for very much and you don't get any,
Especially when it's just like YouTube membership for $1.99 or just hitting sub.
Yeah. And I will say this, somebody like Eric, he started following because of the comic strip, and he's been a great supporter. And so I have gotten
across all of our channels.
Yeah, and we've gotten some great people out of it, but and he's an artist himself. He's written a book. I read it's good, but it doesn't. And I've tried to promote it when it can come up organically because I know he wouldn't want me to just like shill it, outside of times that it would make sense to do so.
And Zephyr, for the record, we didn't bring up Marsden just because you showed up. We've been talking about Marsden for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Also, did he start doing a counter show to ours?
I don't know if he realizes ours is on at the time that.
I'm sure he doesn't. I was hoping to try to get him for the 100th episode next week, but he seems to have gone from doing a Sunday afternoon show to doing a Sunday night show.
Now that YouTube lets you do the collaborations, you should approach him, reach out, tell him for the 100th show, let's do a collaborative simulcast, because YouTube will let you mark it as collaborators. And that way you could both be on your own channels and it'll be completely YouTube approved. I guess they really want to get the YouTubers like using that collaboration feature
like
more.
Twitch,
yeah.
Where there's a whole group of people that just talk to each other all the time. Maybe I'll reach out to him and see if we can do episode 100 next week with him. Maybe we'll try to get George. I'll definitely reach out to Keri. Anybody else we should reach out to?
That we could get on the show? That would be
well,
good.
I mean, the thing is, if we're having Marsden on, I would prefer to have like an interview style episode with him rather than... It would not be our normal episode. I want to talk to him a bit about the Islamic problem. I want to talk to him a bit about the British issues, and then also a little bit of what's going on here. But it would not be the normal type of show that we do, right? But also, you don't want multiple guests when you've got somebody that you're trying to kind of have a focus interview with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we go for a big guest, and if we can get one, we focus as a treat for the 100th episode. Did I guess the your Vegas meetup thing is official now, right? Because Neurotic finalized that he's
August
doing it.
6th, I believe.
Yeah. So and you guys are doing your
that's on a
too.
Thursday, I believe. Yeah. Thursday, August 6th. Vegas meetup. Which means I've got to get there Wednesday at the latest. Also, I need to check next month because I have been roped into... So we probably will not have a show on the 5th because I've been roped into going to Missouri for a family reunion for July 4th because there are no fireworks in Colorado, and Missouri, it's still fair game, and my sister's out there, and my daughter and the granddaughter are going to go. My parents are going to go. It'll be the first time my side of the family has been all together in a long time. So maybe you can run the show that night with Comix and Mad, or we'll just take the week. I mean, it's the holiday weekend, so I don't want to force anybody to have to do anything, but at the same time, we're also going to have the 250th celebration that weekend, so I kind of don't want to miss it, but I also probably would have to do it from my phone. Which sucks.
It's so funny seeing the people outside of DC being so pissed off that Trump's cleaning it up for the America 250.
That and the UFC thing. It's like, he's the president. The White House is his house right now. He's allowed to do pretty much whatever he wants at the White House. I mean, yeah, the knocking down a wing and building a ballroom, little bit of a big change, but having an event on the lawn, you can't stop him. So why are you complaining? I'm more concerned about somebody getting shot during said event. But that's also why we need the ballroom.
Mm-hmm.
And the ballroom has turned into so much more. Like, have you seen all the things that are supposedly included with the ballroom?
I know that Trump was like, we've got drone
It's like
defense
6
built
stories
into it.
underground now, and drone launching facilities on top.
I don't know that Trump was probably supposed to say that stuff out loud, that those things would be in there, but I can tell you that the underground underneath the White House is probably in need of upgrading the
underground bunkers probably from what, the 50s, 60s.
Yeah, you could go out to West Virginia and go to that famous resort,
To the golf course,
where the Greenbrier.
Yeah.
Where you can actually tour the continuity of government, like a special vault where
like
they have
massive vault door.
It's so cool because it's built into one of their ballroom zones, like their meeting zones, and it's this fucking 60-foot multiple ton steel door, and it's on a hinge where like one person can swing it.
Easily swing it. Yeah.
But once it closes up, it's like it's a fucking bunker. But when it's closed, it just looks like it's wallpapered and it's just a regular wall.
Yeah.
It's like
and rumors are DIA, Denver International Airport, also has a bunker system underneath it. I mean,
well, that's because
rumors about
they
DIA,
because of
but then there's also the
NORAD
connection where they're saying that there is actually a underground tunnel network that runs 60 miles from DIA, maybe 75,
to Cheyenne?
over to NORAD, which is where I'm at.
That's over in Cheyenne Mountain, right?
Cheyenne Mountain, yeah.
That's also where SG-1 operated out of.
It's also where Brent Spiner operated out of in Independence Day.
Unfortunately, Amazon fucked that up. No more SG-1.
No, Brent Spiner was out of Area 50.
He was Area 51.
Yeah, so watching Independence Day in Colorado Springs, I'm at the mall theater, right? And we've got military all over the place in Colorado, right? So we're all sitting there watching the movie, and then they make the announcement, "Sir, NORAD's been taken out," and you can hear all the military guys in the theater just go, "Oh," because that means we all just got nuked by the aliens. It was kind of funny. That was one of the more interesting interactions I've ever heard in a theater. Not like everybody clapping, not like everybody laughing at a joke, but because it was our city that obviously just got taken out by the aliens, and you've got so much military. Everybody, just, it was loud. It was crazy. But it was kind of funny. Let's hit the super chat because that's pretty much to get you talking. Jim W, Texas, says for $5, history and customs of the Ottoman Empire. Discuss.
I mean, and their plans to take over Europe. Yeah, that's
And
always
eventually
been,
the world.
and eventually the world. Their ability to lie, cheat, and steal while they do it.
Right.
Yeah, these are not what's the way of saying it? This is not a not a hiccup in the system. It's the way the system is designed to operate.
This is not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Islam, the only thing that truly held Islam back, at least in the most of the 20th century, is that there were so many sects of it fighting over who was going to be the one taking over the world,
right?
That
Sharia,
it kept them
Sunni, Shiite.
During the Ottoman era, they were pretty much the prime movers for the Muslim world, and they almost took over Europe. They got all the way to Vienna,
Portugal.
the gates. I mean,
Spain and Portugal were gone. It was what, France was the holdout?
Well, it's
That's where we finally decided as Christendom to maybe push back a little.
No, it was Vienna. That was where famously the Polish Hussar, the winged cavalry,
yeah,
helped hold back the barbarians at the gates in the I believe it was 1620s, 30s during tail end 100 Years War era. So it was something where they kept doing it. Now, once World War I fractured the Ottoman Empire post World War I, and they separated into, and this is where Britain started artificially carving up the Middle East into different zones. By the way, this is why the Palestinian people didn't really exist.
Because there was no Palestine.
Because there wasn't a thing. The reason it's called Saudi Arabia is because the English gave it to the House of Saud. They're like, that is Saudi Arabia, the House of Saud, and you now control the Arabian Peninsula, Saudi Arabia. Then you get the carved out other zones. Now, Iraq, they created Iraq. Iraq is a conglomerate nation where you put in, that's why in the north you had the Kurds. And then you had a mix of Sunni and Shia in the rest of this country, and they were fighting with each other. Iran is, a division. I mean, so anyway,
well, Iran was the Persians.
Yep.
Right up until the Islamists took over. Persians were not historically Islamists.
Persians, well, they had a group that were.
A group, but the country itself, kind of like Jordan and even Lebanon, was not historically just Islam everywhere.
Which is, again,
there were large Christian contingents.
Yep.
There were large secular contingents. There
which
were large
is why
Jewish contingents.
Post World War I, once all those areas got carved up, the more reactionary and angry Muslim sects within those nation states started working to take over said nation states in the most aggressive means possible. That's where the Muslim Brotherhood as a political movement began and started trying to flex their muscle. As an example, Ba'athist, who ran Syria with Assad, the Assad family, and in Iraq with the Husseins, were secular governments. They were not Muslim governments. They were secular. They were Ba'athists. That was kind of like a more of a socialist kind of tyrannical government structure.
Right.
They weren't basing their tyranny based on Islam. So when they talk about Assad in Syria and how he was terrible, he wasn't a terrible Muslim dictator. He was a terrible dictator. But
also,
he wasn't.
We got to pause for a second because I forgot to do this for Jim.
You want to hear me say something smart for once? The bullpen is awesome.
We got to stop forgetting to do that.
So that's why the Muslim minorities fought as aligned to fight the Ba'athists. That's why ISIS was a conglomeration of different. Then once they take it over, they fight for which one. They start fighting each other based on which one they want to take over. So it's getting back to the Ottoman Empire part. Once it fractured post World War I, it's taken them a long time to do it, and they're still fighting to the point where they're still separated. Now, Erdogan in Turkey believes he is the inheritor of the Ottoman Empire's legacy and has grand visions of uniting everything back under, because Ottoman Empire was located out of Turkey as the capital. Right. He has grand designs to try to reinstigate the Ottoman Empire for the 21st century, with Turkey leading it. By the way, they're a NATO member state. Not going to cause any problems at all letting them be part of NATO, is it?
Yep.
So,
well, I think that was a pretty thorough answer for a super chat. I mean, yeah, we've had plenty of talks about how Islamists are allowed to lie, steal, cheat, do whatever they want in order to take over.
It is the
And
great threat
they
of the
have just
21st
militarily
century.
not done it anymore. They're outbreeding us, and they're just moving in and taking up political seats in the country. We have to pass a law that is basically, if you're first or second generation, you cannot hold office here.
Could a Christian church that start producing weapons under religious exemption given the Crusades? I'm not aware that would be something. I mean,
technically, we should all be claiming that 45s are our religious weapon of choice, and we can start carrying them in our non-turbans, because apparently you're just allowed to have ceremonial knives in Canada and Britain just because you're a Sikh.
I'm just not sure getting to the gist of the question, there's no major Christian church organization that would even sign off on it. The Catholics aren't going to do it. God help us if you look at who's in charge of the Lutherans and the Episcopal and the Presbyterians over here in the U.S. Gee, I mean, if you looked at some of the leadership structures over there, they're ridiculous. They're all like wearing pride flags and going out there taking the knee for St. Floyd. None of those church leaderships are going to do it. So that would leave you small independent churches. Maybe they might do it, but then you're
thousands of different Protestant splits.
But then, by the way, as an example of what happens when a small Christian sect starts buying arms, Waco,
David
Texas.
Koresh?
Yep. At that point,
I don't know Christian sect, even though they claimed it. It was a freaking cult.
Strictly speaking, looking back at the documentation and evidence, it was a little sketchy where they had actually committed crimes. There was issues where some of the children's visitation with ex-spouses was being impacted, but even that was sketchy. There's a lot of stuff wrong with what happened in Waco. Most of it was because the ATF decided to get a little gas
Jan Reno. Yeah. Yes. I mean, there was a lot that was sketchy, but I would not necessarily categorize the Branch Davidians as a Christian sect, even if they claim to be.
Well, then you can go fall under Ruby Ridge if you wanted a more innocent victim.
Sure.
Just sawing off a shotgun.
That wasn't he encouraged by an FBI agent to do that?
It was they were entrapped there was, here's the fun part. There's even debate on whether when he altered it dropped it below the legal limit anyway.
Right. Have you seen any of the online Twitter crap about the Church of Latter-day Saints? Have you been paying attention to that?
I don't know what they do this time.
No, there was like all the classifications of what is Christian, what is Catholic, and the Church of Latter-day Saints was left off of the Christian list.
They should be.
I agree. But they're all up in arms about it. It's like, you don't believe in the Trinity. You added to the book 1,000 years later. More than 1,000 years later. It's kind of funny that you've got you've got the argument from them, we can add to the book 1,000+ years later, and we don't believe in the Trinity as most Christians do. And then you've also got right now an argument going on between Islam and Christianity, saying that Jesus definitely was a Muslim. It's like 600 years before Muhammad.
In the
How is he a Muslim if Islam did not exist for another 650 years?
That does present a difficult conundrum, doesn't it?
It seems to. Just in my head.
I mean, in theory.
Yeah, Jesus was definitely a Muslim.
In theory, if the Muslim argument is that because they come from the Abrahamic descendants, that all Jews and Christians until Muhammad were technically of the same stock, so therefore they would all be considered, in terms of getting into heaven, they would all have been considered Muslim up until the point of Muhammad being the prophet who brought more information. But that's I don't think that's the intellectual
except you also
discussion.
then have to just go back to calling Jesus a prophet instead of the Messiah, which even the Quran says, yes, trust what the Jews and the Christians said. But at the same time says, no, you can't trust what they said because, Jesus wasn't actually the Messiah. But you do need to trust what they said because it's in their books, and their books are actually what feeds into the Quran. It's all freaking insane.
Oh, we got a membership chat.
Yes, we did. Eric comes in with 19 months of membership. I believe that is as long as you could have been a member. Hot take. Christian churches need to do way more logistically tangible to support dating and Christian family formation.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a fair point. For that child rearing suggestion, do we have a female of child rearing capability to play for him?
I'm sure we do. I'm sure we're stuck with the one you like.
I have a ton of thanks to give, and it could be all yours.
Just because she got childbearing hips.
All right. Well, not to derail, I bookmarked this earlier in the week just for this show.
Okay.
Someone had a thread on Bryce Dallas Howard, so I'm just gonna show. Nothing wrong with that. We got this picture. That's quality. Got that picture. That's quality. Look at her in the movies. I mean, why do you hate so much? Got her, come on.
No.
I think this is the one. This is the one that was used to create.
Okay, Zephyr. We will give you.
To the bonny lasses watching, we salute you.
The first taste is free.
I'm just saying, your Bryce Dallas Howard hate is objectively not plausible now.
No, I'm fine with it.
See, gotta say, pretty good picks. Belle appreciates you throwing the other one.
Throwing out the Mel Gibson.
Yeah, so Eric, my algorithm currently on the what's your interests on X is mostly election things. Like I've got a lot of my feed right now about the Peruvian election, and then apparently randomly Bryce Dallas Howard cheesecake pictures. It's a mix that I think represents me well.
And I've got a whole bunch of politics and a whole bunch of hockey, and I'm done with hockey for the year. Still got to do one more show, but apparently last night was a exciting game.
Was it double
Vegas
overtime?
Vegas was up 4-0.
Then
Carolina scored 3 goals in 39 seconds. And then they scored empty net to take it to overtime. Also in the same game, Vegas had 2 goals called back within a minute and a half for offsides and I think goalie interference. So it should have been 6-0 if those weren't called back. And then Carolina would not have crawled back into it. But yeah, it goes double overtime. Carolina pulls, or well, replaces their goalie, their starting goalie, and then he basically throws a shutout until the goal in double overtime. But I'm not watching it because, yeah, Mitch Marner had a natural hat trick in 6 minutes for Vegas.
In 6 minutes, that's awesome. All right, here's some. This is my favorite. This is probably the best use of the movie Passengers that's ever been done. And it's for a meme, because as you can see, the line here is my wife when I accidentally wake her up at 6 a.m. on her day off.
Did you wake me up?
Yes, I woke you up.
How could you do it?
Every married man knows that one.
Dude, I had the weirdest night last night. So I went on Zach's, and at like probably 12:45, I was just like, I hit a wall, and I was done. So I just said, hey guys, in the private chat, I'm just gonna drop out. Mad was on the show, a few other people, but I was like, I'm just gonna drop out. So I drop out. I text back and forth with Mad a little bit till about 1:05. I went to bed, completely remember everything, going to bed, getting changed, getting into bed. Apparently, 15 minutes after I got in bed, I got up. My wife woke up. She thought I was going to the bathroom. I just walked out of my room, and then I wake up on the couch. Mind you, I've been cutting back the drinking. I only had like 2 drinks last night. 2 bourbons. I've been doing a lot of tea. I've been having, a couple bourbons a night just to kind of scale back. So it was not the bourbon. I basically walked down to the couch, put in both of my AirPods into my ears, turned on a book, listened for 8 hours while I was sleeping, and none of us know how the hell I got down there other than I've been sleepwalking a lot over the past couple weeks. And it's weird. My wife was like, no, you didn't say anything. You got up, you walked out of the room, and then you never came back. And no idea. And I could blame it on the bourbon, usually. But no, this is when I'm not on the bourbon. I'm cutting back, trying to get things under control a little bit more. We've talked about it before. But, I mean, one of the things that apparently happens if you have alcohol withdrawal is you get hallucinations. I'm wondering if that's what happened or if it was just a straight up sleepwalking. I slept on the couch with no blankets, in my boxers. No idea that I was there.
So we got the question real quick about what's the natural hat trick.
Natural hat trick is 3 goals with no other player or the other team scoring in between your 3 goals. So one player scoring 3 goals without the other team scoring or anybody else on your team scoring. And yes, I do have a history of sleepwalking. There was one very infamous incident when I was a small child where I sleepwalked and peed into the kitchen trash can because I apparently thought it was the toilet. But I've sleepwalked most of my life.
Sleepwalking is weird.
It's kind of freaky because you just end up someplace you don't have any clue how you got there.
So yeah, what is it? And you're not supposed to wake someone who's sleepwalking because it could apparently cause issues. Not
Well, I
that
think
all
that's
of my
just from Step Brothers.
No, that was something I had heard for a long time before that.
No, you can literally, they can get very violent. So my wife does not sleep walk, she sleep talks. She'll wake up, not wake up. She will sit straight up in bed and start talking about the portal to hell in our closet if the closet is open. She's like, "You don't see it?" And it's like, "No, I don't." She's like, "There's fire and flames coming out of our closet right now." And it's like, "No, don't see it. Go back to bed." She's far more freaky about that stuff than I am. But also, getting up and just walking around and doing a whole bunch of things that you don't know you're doing is also kind of weird. That's why I always make sure to close the camera at the end of the night.
Your wife sounds scary, bro.
Kinda.
Is a DB Wild over? I had a girlfriend who did that, talked plain as day while she was asleep, often about rolling hills and lands that were not the place we lived at all.
Oh, she'll do stuff like that too, but usually it's just a portal to hell if the closet is open. I don't know what it is about the closet. If you leave the door open, she thinks it's a portal to hell in her sleep. Except for I took a pair of scissors and wanted to cut up my parents' checkbook once. I don't know. Things that happen in your sleep are weird.
See, I don't even remember my dreams, so I have no idea.
I tend to, for about 15 minutes after I wake up, if I were to write them down, I'd have a few good movies, but after 15 minutes, they're gone. But I do have recurring dreams. Most of them involve all of my teeth falling out. But that is because I grind my teeth in my sleep, like audibly. And then my teeth hurt, and then I dream about my teeth falling out.
Need that night guard.
I've tried it. It is always out of my mouth by morning.
That's odd. I mean, if it's... You shouldn't be able to just pop it out with your tongue. You know, usually if it's fitted
No, I'm using
right...
like the $25 one from Walmart. I'm not paying the $400 for the dentist to do a full mouth guard.
That's usually covered by dental. Well, you probably don't have dental insurance.
I do, but it's self-employed dental insurance. So, yeah, we've got very specific limits and very specific what will be paid for because it's not group.
Yeah. Night guards are always a touchy subject. You'd have to... Normally, and when they are covered, it's 50%. So you'd still be paying half.
Well, the other thing is, like, I need the night guard for the teeth for the grinding. But the wife also says, you know, there's like, if I listen to you sleep, it will be like minute and a half where you just stop breathing. So I apparently also have sleep apnea to some degree, but it doesn't bother me. But she's like, yeah, I just kind of wait and see if you start up again.
You know, you can get a dental appliance that'll do both. Like, a lot of people...
I have enough trouble sleeping that I don't really want to deal with either, because once I finally get to sleep, I sleep hard.
Like, well, if you have apnea, you're not sleeping
5-6
hard.
hours hard.
you're sleeping hard, almost dead. Like if you get you're gonna find that even if you sleep the right number of hours, you're not getting the right cycle out of it.
But I function on 4 to 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally go to bed at 2 o'clock most nights and get up at 8 o'clock. So 6 hours at most. But like my watch and everything says, no, I'm typically up for an hour and a half during my sleep cycles.
Yeah, saying, are you sponsored by the Dental Association? I may or may not have run dental offices for 15 years, so I have a little bit of knowledge on these things. So that's what just comes out.
And I'm a stomach sleeper, so most of the apparati that they would put on me don't work all that great for stomach sleepers.
Well, that's why the protocol, if you can't tolerate a CPAP for whatever reason, they'll have you switch to the dental appliance that does the same, where it basically keeps the tongue down so that it doesn't allow that like throat closure with the muscle. Don't sleep splain to Brahma and Lil Chad. I'm trying to keep this guy alive.
Stop trying. You know I'm doing everything I can to not.
I know your wife knows how much money it's worth for her.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of money in it. I'm an insurance agent.
My wife always thinks it's bad, like when she makes a joke, like I'm worried when you go if you're doing all this. I was like, don't worry. Remember, this is who you call for this policy. This is who you call for that
Right.
policy. It's like, in the work policy, contact so and so at my office, and they'll be able to handle getting you all of those things. So she's like, why are you saying this? Like, I'm so overinsured that I'm not going to die because you'd be better off. Money wise.
My family, I mean, think of this. I am an insurance agent. My dad is an insurance agent. So I think I've probably told this story multiple times on stream, but every time my parents get onto a plane, they text the second they landed, and that's because we were all crossing our fingers hoping that the insurance pays out. That's how morbid and black humored our family is about any of us traveling, because there's so much life insurance for campaigns and all that kind of stuff on all of us that anytime somebody's traveling, you've got a major payout if something happens.
Do you have the extra AD&D rider to quadruple if you get dismembered?
That's on the car insurance, not on the life insurance for us.
Oh, you got to add that extra AD&D.
Not an option with the company that I work for. But yeah, literally anytime anybody's traveling, the whole family on a text chain says landed, and everybody's like, oh. All right. We're at 3:20. You got anything else you really want to talk about?
Not really at the moment. I think we kind of covered everything.
We covered all the political stuff, and then we've covered the Ottomans. We've covered sleep apnea, apparently. I'll work on Marsden through the week. Zephyr also bring it up on one of his streams if he would like to be on the 100 show.
Yeah, I think that collaboration and dual stream thing would work just fine.
Yeah, we just got to figure out the bigger issue is which studio you go out of, because the collaboration thing is an after the show thing, not a during the show thing.
I thought you could set it up beforehand. Because I think it's
you
a
can
setting
set up
in
who
YouTube
collaborates
Studio.
with you, but it does not send a stream out to multiple locations. You still have to have a studio send it out to multiple locations. Collaboration is just saying, hey, this person was on this stream. And then it will also send those people, hey, if you like this side of the stream, there was also the other side of the stream. Because ultimately, YouTube is not doing any of the actual send your video to somewhere. It's all StreamYard, EVMux, whatever you're using.
Let's see, what do we got here?
What do you mean, what do we got here?
I'm looking, just chat was, will Spencer sue? It's pointless.
Doesn't matter. Spencer was never going to win a general either way.
It does. I mean, he does have the ability. He has standing to sue and challenge the results of the primary.
So did Trump.
Will a court actually? Well, the Supreme Court has clarified now that candidates do have standing. The problem is the method that they have used for voting in Los Angeles and California writ large is designed to have fingerprintless ballot stuffing. Your ballot collecting, it's all just ballots. You can't really prove anything, and they're gonna demand that he proves fraud, as opposed to pointing out to the statistical impossibility of what was happening in the system. And so a judge is just going to probably dismiss it outright.
Weird. On election day, everybody voted for Karen Bass, and then suddenly she's not the preferred candidate. The third place person is.
Well, even the
Brahmabull.
mail-in ballots that came in on up through election day, Karen Bass was the number 1 and Pratt was number 2.
Right.
It's only the post-election day ballots where this other
suddenly everything is ramen. Looking up. It's obvious, and it's so effed. I mean, the fact that they will probably get away with this is just like, what the hell are we doing in this country at this point? I mean, I know it's California and it's just the LA mayoral race, but Pratt was never going to win either way in a general. We already had said that. But the fact that they are rigging it so much that he's not even going to be on the general ballot because they could not deal with a Republican being on that ballot is insane.
It's the
governor race is not going to go in any way for the Republicans either. I mean,
I just needed a Republican.
The general election in California is already cooked. I mean, you could get Steve Hilton on there. It's still cooked. I mean, he's not going to win. Doesn't matter who he's running against in California.
Yeah. I mean, what's important is that for down ballot races, he's on the ballot. His infrastructure will drive Republican voters to show up that might not otherwise.
And also, I don't know that, I mean, this is just separate from everything, but when we're talking about first generation immigrants not being able to run for office, I'm pretty sure Steve Hilton qualifies as that as well. Because I'm pretty sure he is British. 100% who came over here. So if we're going to be consistent, Steve Hilton probably shouldn't be running for office either. Would I prefer him? Yeah. But I don't prefer any foreigner getting office as a first generation immigrant.
I would agree with that.
Does Steve Hilton qualify as that? I'm pretty sure he does, right?
He's a naturalized citizen, I think, right?
Pretty sure. I mean, he's got the full-on British accent, so pretty hard to do that as a second generation.
Steve Hilton is a naturalized. Yep, he's a naturalized citizen.
Yeah. Should be running for office either way. And that's somebody I prefer. But that is also the rules that I think we should go by. I don't think Arnold should have been a governor. If you have any possibility of an allegiance to any other country, you should not be allowed to hold office in our country. And if you came from another country as a citizen and got naturalized citizenship, sorry.
Well, the idea, I disagree in the fact that if you actually go through the steps and become a naturalized citizen, that you should be perfectly capable of holding.
How does that make you not possibly, cheering for the other country that you came for? Look at the Somalians.
All right, using the fact that we don't vet immigrants in any way to try to argue against naturalized citizens is a different point. If you are a naturalized U.S. citizen, being a U.S. citizen, generally, because we don't acknowledge dual citizenship within the United States officially, if you are a naturalized U.S. citizen, we are saying you are effectively of one loyalty and you have legally submitted to that.
Okay, so you pass an 8th grade civics test and then you're allowed to run for office without proving that you're not for your former country? I don't think first generation naturalized citizens should be able to run for anything.
I think that the only constitutional bar against it is United States president, and therefore that should be the only office that is barred.
Yeah, I'm calling for a change.
Citizens.
Just like we have called for a change because Ilhan Omar should not be in office at all.
Ilhan Omar shouldn't have been allowed to be a naturalized citizen.
No shit.
Again, well, the fault of trying to reform and correct the errors of naturalization shouldn't preclude naturalization from being there. We should focus on fixing.
If you have any allegiance to another country, you should not hold office in this country.
Would you say
naturalized
that
or not?
You'd say that about like the Cubans who came over, fleeing Castro?
Yeah.
Who were very important for Republican politics.
Yes.
In Florida. I think you're making a blanket statement that's a little too broad.
No, I think the blanket statement erases any possible connection to another government that you might have more allegiance to. Just because it could help us in some cases, I would still say, no, sorry. Your kids, maybe. Your kids, yes, because you've been naturalized and they are born here, so they are citizens. But if you've got any connection to another government before you get here, even if it's just you're not even somebody who is in the government, you came from another country, I don't think you can serve in our government here. Because we're seeing where that gets us.
I think the fact that we've run immigration poorly for so long shouldn't cause us to make this. I mean, I think correcting the immigration policy and standards is far more beneficial than to try to do that. Because
okay, how many politicians that possibly come in from another country are so fantastic that we just have to have them? They are the most talented, gifted politicians in generations. I don't think it's any.
I don't think that you could point out and say that unlike even American native-born politicians aren't great people.
But they're American native-born.
I don't think that
that's no different than the argument.
If you're a naturalized citizen, you shouldn't be allowed to work on your school board. No, if they've gone to the point of being a naturalized citizen, they are a citizen of the United States. They can own guns, they can vote in elections, they can run for election. The only bar is president of the United States.
And I say no. You can't be an elected official. That may not be the law. That's what I'm saying is my preference.
Well, I'm saying that it's really, again, indicting the immigration process and how we don't vet people carefully and et cetera, isn't necessarily something that should allow us to justify carte on, just blanket not letting people run for any level of office.
But that is also the problem, because if you don't just blanket kill it, you could get whoever.
I agree with you up to the point of naturalization. So green card holder, no. Permanent resident, no. H-1B1 or any other long-term visa holder, no. But if you have become a naturalized citizen, you have gone through the steps, you are acknowledging the United States as the country you are loyal to, go.
How is just going through the citizenship test and spending 20 years on the wait list actually doing anything to say that you are actually a citizen of this country and are going to assimilate completely?
Because if you naturalize, you are a citizen of the country. That is what we are saying as the country. You have become naturalized citizen of the United States. You are a U.S. citizen. Johnny Five in Short Circuit 2 is a U.S. citizen by the end of it. He can vote, he can run for office, he just can't be president.
And I don't think first generation naturalized should be able to hold office, because I don't think there is a way to actually confirm that they didn't just pass a 8th grade civics test.
Again, that's where the vetting prior to them becoming naturalized citizens, I think we both agree, is required to be robust.
I don't think the vetting catches everybody either.
Well, I think, look, if you're just talking about people being shitty politicians, I can point to enough native-born ones who have sold out the country without having to be foreign-born with dual loyalties. That, like Al Gore was objectively born in the United States to United States citizen parents, and he was knee-deep with selling the Clinton White House to the Chinese and helping to make China a rival to the United States. It has nothing to do with him being a naturalized citizen. He did that as a natural-born citizen.
Right. But just like the violence, just like the argument that they try to make that, well, the illegal immigrants aren't nearly they don't break laws at the same rate that the natural Americans do. Okay, they should not break the law at all because they shouldn't be here, is the thing there. Not the naturalized citizens, the birth citizens, you can't argue about their violence rate or murder rate because that's built into the country. It's when you're adding something from without or from outside of the country where you're just being like, well, they could be U.S. citizens. They could pass the test. I don't agree with it. Because you can't do anything about the person who's born here and is an actual citizen. They're allowed to do whatever they want. What we can regulate is people coming from without or from outside of the country. And I don't think they should be allowed to hold office because I don't trust the allegiances. I'm looking at the Somalians. I'm looking at the Islamists. I mean, the Pakistanis, there's a Pakistani in Texas running for office right now that said, no, I don't give credit to anybody you people call a veteran, because all these people did was die to screw over the rest of the world. That's not an American. But he's a naturalized citizen.
If you, that just speaks to, all right, saying that our system isn't working for vetting people to become naturalized citizens isn't the same as just, I think what you're trying to argue for is better checks, balances, and rigorous and
to a degree. But
and
to what,
you can, and
to what
if a
Deadman's saying, when you're naturalized, you have to swear an oath to America. I don't trust any Islamist oath.
Okay.
They can lie anytime they want.
So can U.S. citizens born in the United States?
But they are born in the United States.
A naturalized citizen is a citizen. If we've gotten to the point where we're allowing them to be naturalized as a citizen, they're doing it. And if they've lied in their documentation or in anything they're doing in the process of becoming a naturalized citizen, it can be revoked and we can get rid of them.
We're doing it so often.
I'm not saying this. You're pointing out how the process isn't working as evidence that we should be carte blanche, not allowing people who, once they've been naturalized as citizens, are as much, legally speaking, citizens of the United States as we are. The problem is how we got to the point where we let them be naturalized. That's where we should be doing it. These, like the refugee farmers we're bringing in from South Africa, in 5 years, if they become naturalized, you wouldn't want them being able to run for office?
No.
You don't think their perspective could be helpful to the American political system?
No, I think there's plenty of 450 million Americans that could probably hold office that don't have to have
at that point. If they've become naturalized,
African.
if they've become naturalized citizens, they are American citizens providing their perspective.
And I don't trust anybody who could have an allegiance to a foreign government.
And I'd say there's plenty of evidence. You
can't stop a citizen born here. But what we can do is not let somebody from outside come in and run for office with unknown allegiances. I don't care whether they take the oath or not. I don't care whether they waited on the list for 20 years. Your generation, you don't get to do it. They could be the most talented politician in the history of the world. I still don't care. I don't think anybody foreign born should be in any office in this country.
Well, I mean, that's going to take a major constitutional amendment to change. Good luck with that.
But I'm just giving my opinion.
Then we'll agree.
I'm not saying it's law. I'm saying it shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
We've got too many instances of people that are first generation naturalized citizens that are absolutely undermining our government at every chance they can get, and they are actually supporting their former country. And it's not their former country. Their allegiance is to that country. They should not be allowed to hold office. But we've gotten out of after show into back into the bullpen. I think it's probably time to call it. We're at like 3 hours and 40 minutes. So you good?
Yeah, I need to probably get to bed anyway. Go to work tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chats. We will see what we are doing for the big 100 next week. If it's nothing, it'll just be another show like usual. We've never celebrated any other number on this show or on this channel, so we'll try to do something. I'll work on something throughout the week. But big episode 100 coming up next week, Sunday, 8 p.m. Mountain. Hope you all have a great week. Let's see. I'm making sure that we didn't miss anything in the in the super chats real quick before we head out. So yeah, looks like we're good to go. Hope everybody has a great week. We will catch you later. Night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.